What's going on YouTube? Let me get the Facebook going and we'll begin. What's up Facebook? I'm here on the double stream. The story of the day is Joe Biden is being inaugurated as the 46th president. We'll talk about it and we'll try to be motivational and inspirational because at this point it is what it is. And I think people need to use this as motivation, and instead of crying and being in fear and whatever, just make it a good 4 years and do the most you can do, learn from it. And then in the next election, get a better candidate or a better shake. So that's what it is. I hope everybody's having a good day, despite I'm sure a lot of people being upset, but I think there's always a lesson to be learned, and I'm not really freaking out. I have no expectations, and sometimes that's a good thing. I can't possibly be disappointed. So that's good. And I have some other stuff, but that's what it is today. Let's see what we got. We'll do some shout outs. Paul said, trust the plan. Here's what I'll say. I have a whole video coming about it tomorrow. I'm working on like one of those really hard hitting videos. It's going to take me a long time to edit. It's going to be like 16 minutes long, but to the people who fell for the trust the plan Q psyop, it's okay. I feel bad for you. I actually feel horrible. To the people who pushed it, these anonymous accounts, half of them are probably controlled opposition agents. Some of them are just very naive or egotistical people. They should feel bad. People who fell for it, it's all open arms. It's all good. The people who pushed it, I have a video for them tomorrow exposing them. So it's all good. It's all going to be okay. And we'll move forward. Let's see who we got on Facebook. Crystal said, how are we supposed to regain control when the elections are rigged? Well, that's something you have to ask your leadership. But I'll answer questions after I do my little spiel. But to me, I understand what happened from November to January. But you have to understand with these machines, Democrats were complaining about them for years. Texas complained about it for years. The whole mass mail-in ballot scheme was really a result of a bipartisan shutdown in which Republicans didn't even try to fight for the first few months. So they kind of dug their own grave. For voters, obviously, yes, not a good look for you guys. But, keep your eyes peeled in the next election if you choose to vote. But in general, I didn't run in circles like everybody else for the last few months. I don't want to start off the stream on this note, but it's like the people that ran you in circles could have done a lot more to prevent it from happening or fight it, but they really didn't. And that's why I think it's a trap in some ways. That's why we're going to stay positive and motivational, because, the pardon list was a joke yesterday. Even the biggest Trump supporters that are way more, never, ever have I ever seen them say anything bad about him. They were like, what is this pardon list? You had Kodak Black on there, and Kodak Black has a music video where he pretty much equates all Trump supporters to KKK people and like has a fight scene with them. So Trump's pardoning, rappers who literally want his supporters dead, Israeli spies and Democrat corrupt governors or mayors and stuff. Like that pardon list was a joke. I even saw his biggest supporters, but I don't want to get into it too much. I want to be positive and also kind of lay out a path. I think that people can be more, we need a game plan, and people need a game plan, not just for their own self, but for the movement that's kind of in shambles right now. We'll get to it. Let's get some shout outs and then we'll go on. Someone said the matrix is crumbling. No, in many ways, people learn, good things happen, things people don't like happen. But if you learn and, don't remain ignorant to why you got fooled or what happened, then it'll be fine. It's not a big deal. Let's see. John Kinney said, if we lay down and die, we give them what they want. Never let them see you down. Of course. And also, we'll get into it, but you don't want to act like they did. You don't want to become fake news. You don't want to be too emotional. Do hard hitting reporting. I'm not going to stop reporting. I'm going to do the same type of hard hitting reporting that I've always done. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to stop. But you're going to see a lot of influencers spiral into this, they're going to become like psychotic, like the left was, and just, it becomes sloppy. And I don't say that to be mean, but if everybody's racist, nobody's racist. The left wing says 100 million people are racist. They demean what it means to be racist. Now you can't figure out who actually hates people because of their skin color, because they claim that like black people are actually secretly white or something if they support Trump. So it's the same thing on the right wing. You don't want to be the boy who cried wolf. We have more than enough information. And this is my problem with the whole Q thing. There's so much information about human traffickers, this and that. It's all real, but why would you make up so much fake stuff and fake psyop plots about military coups that don't exist, or military, rather, like plans to save the White Hat operation? You don't need to do that. You don't want to be the boy who cried wolf. You don't want to be fake news, and you don't want to become exactly what you hate. So we have to do a good job of doing good, hard-hitting reporting. Don't lay down. Don't be a pushover, but also don't become a weirdo, at the end of the day. So let's start it off. Joe Biden's being inaugurated today. I think a lot of these accounts who told you to trust the plan, they're probably either going to say sorry or they're going to keep spiraling and tell you Joe Biden's secretly on your side or something. I literally saw one post like that. He's like, Joe Biden's actually playing on your side with the Hunter Biden laptop. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. These people are insane. They're literally trying to con Trump supporters into thinking Joe Biden's a secret guy on their side. It's nuts. And you're going to also see the media. I thought of a funny parody video I think I'm going to make. Like the media is going to just gush over Joe Biden. So I'm going to have my work cut out for me as one of the only people, that's actually going to do real reporting. They're going to be like, oh my God, when Joe Biden launched a missile, his fingertips just look so manicured. They're going to they're like, when Joe Biden has an inauguration, it's just, oh my goodness, it's like, are you guys joking? Like this is the media now? So I'm going to have to do a video about that. It's like when he pushes the button to bomb Syria, just his fingertips look manicured by Jonathan Van Ness. Yeah, that's going to be the video. It's going to be pretty funny. Yeah. But in general, we're going to have our work cut out for us. Someone said, check Operation Trust with the super chat. Yeah, my whole video tomorrow is going to be about Operation Trust, and I'm going to expose a lot of these people. I got you. Cowboy Bear said, looking forward to the return of late night comedy shows, and SNL might be funny again. Yeah, it's one thing to joke about Trump. I like a good Trump joke, but they're just not funny. It's like the same thing. Orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad. And then Jimmy Fallon's like, hey, orange man's bad. Have you heard? It's like, dude, we get it. It's not funny. It's never. And then Obama, they're like, do you put pineapple on pizza? Do you call it pecan or pecan? And he's like, pecan. And he's like, I could call it pecan. Same with me. I'm looking in the mirror. Like, it's a joke. But yeah, hopefully they'll step it up and be funny again. But anyway, for them, who God knows what they're going to do under Biden, I like to think a silver lining to that would be, if you study the Bolshevik Revolution and a lot of these, like anytime communism, socialism came to the country, they turn on each other just as much as they turn on themselves. So it's like you're being loyal to a fake movement, to a fake ideology, destroy. It's like, you're white, you're this, you're that. They're not very loyal people. So I'm looking forward to seeing them turn on each other, because the further down that rabbit hole you go, if you're not just completely loyal and you decide to do real reporting, I think they usually attack each other even more than they attack outsiders. So that'll be fascinating. But also in general, I think there's a lesson to be learned, and I think there's a lot that we can grow from this. First of all, I think it's got to inspire people to be the change they want to see in the country. I think we're still a country of hundreds of millions of good people. And talking to people from Europe, from Russia, even America in the state it is, the lockdowns, the quarantines. I mean, I know it's nuts and it's insane, but the average mindset in America is still far advanced, I think, than other countries, because they've been so much more controlled for so long. Like I talked to somebody who lived in Germany, and they told me, people snitch on each other. Like there's a little bit of that happening now, but it's such a groupthink. Like they've been so much more conquered for so long than America, where you still have patriotic people, you still have cowboys, you still have the Second Amendment. We have the First Amendment, although they're trying to infringe on it. So America, in my opinion, to be positive, I think we're still far ahead in many ways, including the first two amendments, than a lot of the world. So even though the administration changes, even though, they're going to go further, we still are the people, and, we get what we deserve. We get what we allow. I think this is a wake-up call, and a necessary wake-up call, because, the last 4 years of Trump, in some ways, I think it was a huge blessing. He inspired hundreds of millions of people, maybe billions of people, to be more patriotic, to love themselves. And I think the left, especially my generation, they made us hate ourselves. They made us hate America. They made us hate our country. They made us hate our parents, our grandparents, our race. Like they've pumped so much evil and self-hate into our generation. So Trump really helped wake a lot of people up to, like, listen, there's obviously cons of America, especially over the last decade, couple decades. But as far as the American way and what America was founded on, and the ideology of, free market, although it's not been free for a while, but, liberty, God-given rights and stuff, it really is leagues better than what they're doing, socialism, communism in Europe. So we he didn't do everything. I think in many ways he disappointed a lot of people, but he did kind of start that ball rolling to get 100 million people to realize, okay, I shouldn't hate myself. Of course, you be humble and don't just like love yourself too much and love the country. Like, oh, we're the best, you're the worst. Then, but at the same time, it is important to realize what did make America great and what can make us great. So we still have these people. There's still 80 million people who voted for him. Hundreds of millions of people who are good people. We need leaders now, not leaders to just run people off a cliff trusting the plan or just somebody that everybody follows like a god, but people to step up in their own communities, business, do things that help the country and be the type of resistance that if it goes too far, you're not going to follow. You're not going to fall off a cliff. And that's perhaps what I was thinking this morning and last night is, the GOP, even Trump, to be honest, but especially the GOP, they take their base for granted just the same way the Democrats take their base and Black America for granted. You always hear, people say Democrats just care about Black people every 4 years, which I think is somewhat true. Black Lives Matter, it seems to happen on an election year. They care about police riots and stuff way more on an election year. They fundraise off it. They promise all these things, and then they never do anything. In fact, their policies are perhaps some of the most costly things for Black America in general, but they use them and just say, you don't want to vote Republican. And a lot of Black people in America, they look at Republicans, they don't agree with their ideology. So it's like they're stuck in that contract. And that's what, I think Kanye West tried to tell people, where he's like, we are all vote one way. He's like, so if they trap us, I'm over here to counter that. And I think that's smart in a way. And even people like Ice Cube doesn't like Trump, but he tried to meet with him and get use his bargaining chip. Listen, I'm Black. This is what I care about. If Trump will do it, Trump will do it. If Biden will do it, Biden will do it. And he got so much heat, but it's actually smart. It's like, why would you just get down on the altar of Joe Biden and Democrats when they just take you for granted? Because they know 90%, 80% of Black people will never vote for a Republican. So they have you by the balls. It's the same thing, in my opinion, with white people, Christians, Trump supporters, even conservatives, Latinos, whatever, anybody who's really conservative and leans more into that view. I think the GOP takes you for granted the same way. And even Trump, if you look at his pardons, he pardoned a rapper who literally thinks Trump supporters are KKK members. Like, he panders so hard to Blacks and Hispanics and rappers, and that's fine. I'm a rapper. It's all good, but it's like they know, the GOP knows, they don't need to impress you. You're never going to vote for the left wing. You're never going to vote for Biden. You're never going to vote for people who are pro-abortion. You're never going to vote for people who are pro-taxes. And I understand why. I don't want to either, but that's why they don't really do anything for you, because they know they have you by the balls, the same way the left wing has Black America by the balls. You won't vote for them, and you won't vote for them. And you guys just fight each other, and we'll pass $1 trillion stimulus bills that send your money overseas and give you a couple dollars back, and we'll both shut down the country, but we'll blame them. I'll say China virus. They'll say it's racist. They'll say it's Trump's fault. He'll say it's their fault, and nothing gets done. So I think that's something that the right wing can maybe learn is, we have to use our bargaining chip. Right now, we really don't. I haven't cursed yet, so I don't really want to use the word, but there's a word that they, use to say like submissive, or people that just, I don't want to say it, but you get what I'm saying. A submissive group where it's like they know they don't have to impress you. Like Trump did the American Dream Plan, and I'm part Hispanic, keep in mind, so I could get benefits from it. But the American Dream Plan was for Hispanics. It's like you claim to fight the left and all their identity politics for Black, Hispanic, LGBT, but you do the same thing. Trump's pardoning rappers, pardoning spies, doing bidding for Democrat governors who don't like him. And then he still passes like race-based policy all over the place. It's based on race and not based on content of character. And that's kind of the dynamic that I've seen, where the left wing flies left, the left wing runs the show in culture, media, academia, and the right wing just follows them. And they all do it. Like GOP does it more, Trump does it a little bit, but there is no true resistance. And it's not to be mean. I appreciate what Trump does. I appreciate, local GOP people who aren't as bad as Democrats. But at the same time, this is a losing battle. It just is. In order to really win, we're going to have to stand in the ground and say, like, enough is enough. We're not moving anymore. And that's what I think needs to happen now, is people need to say to the GOP, listen, I know this sounds crazy, but I just thought of it. It's like, listen, you guys aren't really doing that much for us. You're going too far left. Mitch McConnell's a socialist now. Stimulus check, lockdowns. You guys are not enough. So start to do what Ice Cube did, in my opinion, and say, probably the Democrats will do nothing for you. I'm sure they won't, but make the GOP feel a little heat. And they have recently. Like, listen, we'll just sit out the next election. We hope you all. Okay, Mitch McConnell, you think you're so cool. How popular are you going to be if Democrats take over everything and then they're going to persecute you just like they're trying to do to us and Trump? So it's like, I know that's starting to happen because people are mad Trump lost and they don't like McConnell now. But I think the whole movement in a whole, even the pro-Trump Republicans that are going to run you in circles for a couple of years and just fundraise off you like, oh, we're going to impeach Joe Biden. They're just fundraising millions of dollars, running you in circles, not really providing any solution. And even if they get into power, they don't even understand how to make the change necessary. But whatever. The point I'm getting to is I think we need to be a little tougher and use our vote and our block, our huge block of 70, 80 million people, not just worship, oh my God, you're the best. You're so much better. You're saving us. Like, not really. Just like, hey, we're not going to vote for you, none of you, unless you actually do something and make a strong play. Because America's been on a slow road to socialism. They've taken over schools, academia, mass media, Hollywood. It's the reason that even Trump goes left. Even Trump kind of capitulates. All the GOP capitulates. It's not a winning strategy. We need to be tougher. And I think that's a huge lesson to be learned. The GOP and even the Trump GOP people, they do the same thing to us that the Democrats do to Black America. You'll never vote for them, so we're the best you can get. And it's true, but at the same time, it's clearly not working out. On that note, also, I think, people just need to focus on themselves and what they can do. There was a lot of good stuff that happened during the last 4 years, and there was a lot of waiting and trusting and he's going to save me and I don't really have to do anything. And that's not what's going to save the country. We have 300 something million people. We need millions of people to step up. We need millions of people to be the change they want to see in the country. We need millions of people to make it clear that, we appreciate what we have, our God-given freedom, our liberty. And whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, whether it's Pelosi, whether it's Schumer, whether it's Mitch McConnell, whether it's Mnuchin or whoever it is, that we're a serious movement again, because we really weren't. In some cases we were, but I think they really figured out towards the end, like, these people vote for me regardless. I don't really have to do that much. Like, they're clearly not going to vote for that guy. So that's kind of the trap that I see. As far as what's going to happen the next 4 years, I don't know how weird it's going to get or how crazy or oppressive it's going to get. My hope and my optimism says maybe Joe Biden will try to open the country and take credit for it. You already see Cuomo and what's her name? The one who looks like, I don't want to say because anyway, the lady from Chicago, they're like, oh, I'm going to open. This is the new plan. So hopefully they just open the country, take credit for it, act like they did it, and leave us alone. That's what I'm hoping they do. I'd rather that than vaccine certificates, more lockdowns, quarantines and such. Whatever. If they want to lie to themselves and act like we can pretend like we don't know that they shut everything down for political reasons. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, man, you're the strongest. Go get a Nobel Prize. Whatever. That's much better than vaccine certificates and more lockdowns. So I'm hoping that they go that route. And, it looks like Biden just put Obama's administration into office. He just put almost the same people that Obama had. It's just going to be a continuation of that. The question is, of course, how crazy are they going to get? The Global Reset, World Economic Forum, what do they really want? How socialist and communist do they want to go? And will that work for them? If you look at historically, I don't think communism, socialism, Bolshevikism, I don't think it works. I don't think it works forever. I don't think it works very long. These people are very unloyal. If you study some of these socialist regimes, sometimes socialists take out socialists. They're not socialist enough. You're not communist enough. They take out, they're going to start fighting with each other. So I think these are the strategies that Republicans would be very wise to adapt over these next few years. Don't throw a fit. Don't talk about Nancy Pelosi's ice cream, although I think it is expensive. I get it. She's got a lot of ice cream. It's like, chill on the ice cream, Nancy. Maybe some smoothies with some bananas and dates will be better, but whatever, if you want to eat it. But, don't fall in the trap of just be acting like a child with these influencers who just grift off you and don't really provide solution. That's going to be the trap. Instead, I think it would be smart if people were strategic. These people now run the government. Okay, they could blame Trump, but at a certain point, it's theirs. Okay, you want it, here, you have it. And now they inherited a mess. So, as much as they're going to try to take power and control, they're also going to try to balance it now. There's a strategic advantage to being on the outside. When they were technically on the outside, although they were still on the inside, they were just trying to tank Trump with everything. Because if you're not on the ship, or you don't really care about the country like they don't, they're throwing everything at them, just like trying to crash them. They're like this, Ukraine, Russia, like anything they could to gain power. And they had that advantage strategically because they were outside of, his administration. Now that they're inside, they're going to be doing a lot more picking up the pieces and trying to juggle it. Because if they tank it as hard as they did with Trump, they're not going to look very good. And people are already looking for other options. And this is something to really think about. In Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti's not popular. In California, Gavin Newsom's not popular. It's just Republicans don't know how to take advantage. John Cox is a horrible, old, boring candidate. No offense, it's just true. And there needs to be someone that can reach across the aisle and figure out how to talk to liberals, because they're not impressed about a lot of stuff. And also at this point, Trump and McConnell went so far socialist, the economic policy of free market and liberty just doesn't exist anymore on the right. I don't agree with it. I think that we should get it back. But, the strategy of 2018 is just not going to work in the Biden. Socialism sucks. Well, you did $1 trillion spending bill and sent out paychecks and shut the country down. And, you did it for a year. So, there's got to be a smart strategy. I think that you're on the outside. Most people don't like Joe Biden. Most people don't like Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris ran for office and she came in like 8th place or something. I mean, she got less votes than Biden, Bernie. She's very unpopular. And so is Biden. He's way more unpopular than Trump. My live stream right now, I have 5,000 people between the two. I'm pretty sure this is higher than Joe Biden gets. That's pretty sad, but it's also kind of funny and empowering. It's like, okay, I could get more live stream viewers than the president of the United States. God is great. How could I be upset about that? I could cry and say, oh my God, he's so okay. I have a bigger audience than he does. That's cool. I guess that's pretty interesting. But in general, use your position from the outside, not to throw a fit, not to cry, not to act like the liberal. No, that lady who cried when Hillary won. Don't follow these influencers and grifters. And I'm not telling people who to follow, but I could see it now. They're just going to act hysterical. They're going to run people in circles. They're going to become fake news and screech and scream. And the reason that's dangerous is not because I'm trying to protect Biden. As the captain of our ship, similar to Trump, I don't want him to crash the ship. But if he is crashing the ship, I'm going to do the same exact type of hard-hitting reporting that I've been doing all year. And people know I did it last year, even though Trump was in office. I have dozens of videos on the coronavirus and why it was being misreported from all sides. I'm going to do the same thing, but I see people, they're going to just screech and scream, and they're going to end up being the boy who cried wolf. They're going to end up being, everything is this, so nothing matters anymore. But we don't need to do that because there's going to be so much going on with Biden, and we don't have any help from the media. We never did, so it doesn't really matter. But we have to really figure out how to be strategic. Because this is actually, even historically, if you look at some of the regimes that succeeded outside of this, things, when they go left, they go right. So the left goes far left, and then the right, hopefully can go to the point where they can actually stand up, because the media says the right wing's too far right. They're extremists. But if you really look at what, like, Trump was not that far right. He's pardoning rappers who literally probably want him dead. He did, socialism under the last year. He sent out paychecks. He worked with Fauci. Trump wasn't far right enough. It's like only in their head. Like, I get it. Yeah, he built a wall. He had a ban because he felt that those. But as far as like, I'm talking about, socialism, democracy, republic, libertarianism, like anarchy, that type of left wing and right wing, Trump wasn't far right enough. So when you have a far left government that moves further left, either they're going to be moderate and try to keep it stable, or they're going to go off the rails, and there's going to be a huge opportunity for the right wing to, emerge from that power vacuum or that, I guess, extreme regime when it fails, because it will either he's going to balance it out and just become a big banker Wall Street type guy, and he just lied to the progressive left wing to get their votes, or he's going to just go further left, and his administration's just going to go further left, and now you have to deal with it, and also try to seize the opportunity when that chance comes again. So I think it's a huge wake-up call, and in many ways I think it's necessary, because there's a certain ideology that supersedes both parties that has had control for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. Since the central banking days, like in the 1800s or early 1900s, America had way more freedom and liberty. Of course, we also had bad, backwards things going on that we corrected. But for the most part, it just kind of went downhill from there once the central banks came in, I believe, because they had total control of the money. And if you have total control of the money, what can't you get a hold of? If you get Hollywood, media, it's easy when you were the bankers, so the bankers came in, they seized power. And central banking is not a way to filter banking. It was Karl Marx's, one of his main theories of how to gain power. If you control the money, what don't you control? So they conned America into a central bank in 1918. And since then, it's gone further left. And I think Joe McCarthy, or whatever his name is, McCarthyism, in history, they smear it as, oh my God, this guy was crazy. He was a lunatic. But in reality, he was probably right. He probably saw that communists were seizing certain power structures. And if you read Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson, Black communist who defected and, talked about what the communists were doing, he backed up McCarthy. He said that he was actually right. So, they won't teach that at school, but that's the problem. They're teaching your kids communist propaganda in some ways. Some of it's real, but most of the history I've learned in school I won't even say whitewashed because they don't even like the country, but it's been like communist washed. So it's generations of kids for decades that have been learning, a more communist socialist skew to what really happened instead of a more patriotic American liberty first skew or Christian skew. That's been decades. So it's like, Trump was never going to fully fix that. In some ways he tried. In some ways, I don't think he really did. But in general, it's not his fault, build off of the inspiration that he gave to a lot of people and then figure out what went wrong. And we could be fine. I don't think it's the end of the world or the end of anything. If you look at any regime, things go up, things go down. That's just how they go. And we lived in a great time where things were so good that people got lazy. I think from probably the 50s to now people got lazy. And I'll be honest, I'm pretty lazy. I also work my ass off, but how bad is my life really? Coronavirus sucked. It was mentally draining. What they did was disgusting. Lockdowns, losing businesses, they affected people's mental health. But at the same time, I was still able to order delivery food. So, was it really that bad? In some ways it was. In other ways, I'm still very grateful that I was able to, not lose everything and still be able to order food on a smartphone that comes to my house. Like, that's pretty epic. So, it's like there've been harder times. It might get harder, but it'll be okay. That's just the way the world goes. And it's not necessarily a bad thing if we learn from it and become the next generation that makes it even better at a certain point. And I think the Q type trust the plan people, it was a way to tell generations of, messing up and laziness that there's a secret plan for you. And that's not God's plan. They use Bible quotes to fool people, but God's plan doesn't say if you sit on the sidelines and just let things fall to the wayside that it's secretly going to become amazing again. In fact, God's plan, according to the Bible, kind of says the opposite in Revelation. I guess no matter how hard you try, there's still going to be a point where there's a one world government and it's going to get ugly because, the world is also controlled by Satan to a certain point and people will be saved. But in general, I don't want to get into religion, but, this whole trust the plan thing was kind of, I think, a way to get people complacent, lazy, and think that things will just magically save them outside of the Lord. Like a human regime will just save them magically. And I don't think that's going to be possible unless a human, millions of humans actually work really, really hard instead of just sit there and say that, Mike Pompeo is going to save me. Someone said dark days ahead. It's definitely possible, but here's, at the end of the day, you have to be the light. You have to see the light. You have to be grateful and appreciative for what you do have. And if you really want to win in 2 years or 4 years and make that shift happen again, you have more than enough momentum. Even if you hate Trump and think he was a liar the whole time, he still built a movement of like 80 million people. I don't know that I've ever seen this many people who have learned more and educated themselves on things. Like, I've learned so much. It started with this and then that, and then there's people that I saw and got inspired by. And a lot of it, came from Trump being so honest. In his interviews, I've never seen a politician that blunt and that loose. Like, no one's been that loose. Obama wasn't that loose. George Bush wasn't that loose. It was pretty exciting and it was pretty inspiring. Like, wow, he's talking like, he's talking like a YouTube content creator that just doesn't give an F, and he's the president of the United States. Pretty cool. So, I think that's the solution is people who say be afraid, they're going to help tank the country just as much as Biden. People who tell you to just trust in Trump 2024, it's a joke. It's like, get over it. I mean, if he runs, he runs. But at this point, you should realize that it came up short for a reason, and we have to build and learn from that. And I think the numbers are still on our side, especially when you think about good people in the country. But where do we go from here? Do we learn? Do we try to educate ourselves on what we didn't know? Because there's a lot of, and I don't know everything, I'm still learning, obviously, but there's a lot of people who are really freaked out today because nothing makes sense to them. They don't understand because they've been following people on YouTube and BitChute and Gab and Twitter and Facebook who've told them for 4 years that Trump was literally the return of Caesar, or, I don't know, like a 300 character where he's never made a mistake in his life and he's playing 5-dimensional chess. And there's no way he could ever possibly lose because he had a plan for everything. And it's not true. I mean, he did what he could do to some extent, and he lost the election, whether you think it was fair or not. He's not going to be there these next 4 years. He'll be in Mar-a-Lago or Florida, hopefully tweeting. I hope he gets his accounts back because he's a fantastic tweeter. When he's not tweeting about Operation Warp Speed, he's the best. But in general, it doesn't make sense to people. But that's because you ignored a lot of red flags. Like I saw a lot of influencers get upset and say, all these MAGA grifters are now turning against the president in the last few days. And I don't think that's really true. First of all, a lot of MAGA influencers, they were feeding into this idea that he's never made a mistake in his life. So when they started looking at the pardon list and they thought he was going to be there and he's not, they started getting disappointed because they built their whole theory on a bunch of really rickety things. Like, yes, he did a lot, but there's a lot of things that they've never learned and educated themselves on because they were in the echo chamber of MAGA. So I don't think a lot of influencers were turning on him in like a deceitful way. I think they're honest Americans who realized that their whole ideology about what was going to happen was wrong. He didn't stay for 4 more years, and they were damn sure on it. So it's not MAGA influencers turning on Trump. It's MAGA people who've been in a MAGA echo chamber for 4 years starting to learn that they're missing a piece of the puzzle. They thought they had it complete, and they're missing a few. And as for people like me, I mean, I've talked about it for years. I talked about stimulus bills he said he'd never sign that he signed in 2019, the anti-First Amendment, anti-Semitism bill that I believe will be used against us now, because if you look at Joe Biden's cabinet, they're all Jewish. And, Trump passed a law, not for the deli owner down the street, but for Jewish elites. He's been funneling in the State Department, Pompeo. They're all massive Zionists, and they do anything for the state of Israel and Jewish elites. I'm not being rude or mean or racist or anti-Semitic. I'm just being honest. They've been passing laws, bills, and executive orders to make it illegal for you to criticize a certain group of people with power. And the laws and rules are ridiculous. They're insane. They're totally anti-First Amendment. And it's designed to stop people from saying honest things. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, this is not the situation people thought they were in. But the point I'm getting to is, it's not turning on the president. It's doing real reporting. It's good to support someone. It's fine to vote for someone. It's good to go to their events. But if you just become a shill for a right-wing guy, in some ways, you're no different than a shill for a left-wing guy. You're the equivalent to the MSNBC host who's like, oh my God, Joe Biden, his nails look so good at the inauguration. It's like, who cares about his nails? Or, you're the same thing on the right. You're just a follower. And if you're just a voter, that's fine. But if you're supposed to be like a news reporter, like a lot of these people are influencers, what are you really doing? So the point I'm getting to is, I don't think people turned on him in the last few days. I think a bunch of MAGA people believed in their heart that he was going to be the president for 4 more years. And as soon as it didn't happen, their whole reality was shattered. And in a way, that's a good thing. Now they can learn about all of these puzzle pieces that they really don't understand about, and certain power structures and certain groups of people and certain countries that just completely dominate the United States of America and have so much influence and power over either president that they'll do almost anything that they say, regardless of how it affects you negatively. And that's just how it goes, bros. So I'm going to read some comments in a second, but the optimistic takes are: 1, we have to learn from this. We have to be a stronger force, because I think the right wing takes advantage of us the same way the left wing takes advantage of Black America. They know you won't vote for Democrats, so they don't really have a plan for you. And the Democrats know that Black people won't vote in majority for Republicans. So they don't really have a plan for them. They just have like enough to get them by, but not enough to actually do anything for you. And it's the same thing to the right. So I think self-accountability, focusing on what went wrong, learning, becoming the change we want to see, and realizing we're still a great country with great people in it. And they can't do anything without our permission. You look out the window today, did the world drastically change today? Did anything in your schedule change? Well, no. Is it going to change over the next few years? Absolutely. But, I think before coronavirus, it wasn't that drastic. That was pretty drastic. That was like, you can't possibly ignore it. If you were like hiding in a cave somewhere, you'd never know the difference between Bush and Obama unless you were hiding in a cave with like jihadists, then you'd know. But in general, but the coronavirus, like that was something that was so mind-bogglingly different that you couldn't possibly ignore it because it was literally everywhere. And that happened during the Trump administration. It just did. I'm not blaming Trump for it, but people acting like, oh my God, what's going to happen? It's like, what happened last year under a Trump administration and a Republican Senate? You had the biggest upheaval of our freedoms and the biggest change in our country across all 50 states than anything in modern history. So clearly, it just wasn't going to save you anyway. So I think this is God's message to people. I'm not going to speak for God, but I think, we need to learn lessons. And I think this is our lesson. When you think your leader is a Messiah and you think that your side can do no wrong, you become the problem. Why did the Democrats lose in 2016? Their ego, their lack of self-awareness, lack of self-accountability. They think they're so great. They can never make a mistake. It's all your fault. Everybody who's conservative is a bad person. That's how they feel. And I think they lost favor. And I don't think they got any better, to be honest. But I think the right wing, we don't have mass media. We don't have academia. We don't have big tech on our side. We have virtually no power when it comes to these big institutions, but we still put out a record number of votes. Why is that? We have God on our side and we have the truth on our side, and the truth is powerful. When the truth is, presented properly and in full honesty, you can beat academia, you could beat Hollywood, you could beat big business. I've been able to, without any sort of promotion or mass media, I've beaten on a routine basis most major media. That's because I have the truth on my side. If I start spewing lies and trust the plan, I might be able to get a few, views more high for a few weeks, but then I'm going to lose it all, rightfully so, because I'm a liar. When it comes to MAGA and Trump and Republicans and conservatives and Christians, I think all you really have is the truth. You don't even have half the churches in America on your side. We don't have big business. We don't have big money. We don't have big tech. We don't have Hollywood on our side. So, that's what we have. And if we lose that, I think we lose. And honestly, I think we lost that in 2020. And I've been saying it since April. I'm not trying to be mean. I don't think Fauci or Biden is better. However, Trump locked the country down. Trump said Sweden was so bad for staying open. Trump said that millions of people would have died if he didn't lock it down. Trump did Operation Warp Speed. Trump rushed Moderna and Pfizer through emergency approval out to the public. Trump knows that they have no liability. He hired Scott Gottlieb, Alex Azar, a bunch of big pharma lobbyists. So he wasn't really the drain the swamper. And he overturned the executive order to say that, they can't lobby for 5 years after they get out of government. So the whole drain the swamp lobbyist executive order he passed, he rescinded so his swamp creatures could make money out of office. I mean, he wasn't who he said he was going to be. I'm not blaming him for everything, but we lost favor. We lost favor because we lost the truth. We lost the righteousness. He just became another swamp creature. He didn't fight the lockdowns. And then a lot of his audience didn't want to hear it and got mad at me. Do you know how many hundreds of people, maybe thousands, from April till now say the same thing to me on Twitter? Trump had no part in the lockdowns. That's not true. Did he have every part? No, of course, Newsom had a part, Cuomo had a part, but Trump had the main role. Trump launched it, Trump defended it, Trump gave them all the resources they need and passed every bill and executive order to make it happen. He had a part in it, but how could you, how do you think you're going to win? We don't have big tech cheating for us. We don't have Hollywood rigging it for us. We have nothing. All we have is truth. All we have is what's right. And in the 2020 election, we lost the truth. We lost what's right. And the base turned into, I will make excuses for the guy, no matter how true it is. I don't even care if my own freedom's on the line. And if you read books, I need to finish it, but The Law by Bastiat, and even, you read George Washington, Jefferson, whatever, they all say God-given freedom, God-given liberty. They believe that God gave you your liberty. They believe that God gave you your freedom. It's a God-given right. No man, no politician, no leader should be able to take that away from you. That's what they believed. And Trump helped take that away from you. And people didn't care because it's Trump. They put him above God. They put him above God-given liberty. And they allowed him to make every excuse under the sun for why under his watch as the president of the United States, we lost more freedom, more power, and essentially became slaves to Big Pharma, who he ended up funding and supporting and backing up and rushing through FDA emergency approval. And people didn't care. So this is your lesson. This is the lesson. If you give up your God-given liberty, you don't have it anymore. God gave that to us. Fauci shouldn't be able to take that away. Trump shouldn't be able to take that away. Newsom shouldn't be able to take that away. Cuomo shouldn't be able to take that away. And when the freedom and liberty movement in this country is more passionate about fighting with me about Trump's role in it because they want to be in denial about it, then you lose it. It's just that simple. If you don't stand up for yourself, you just lose it. It's really that simple. And people didn't stand up for themselves. They didn't stand up for their God-given liberty. So it was taken away by humans. Someone said double feed crash. I think I just had a call going. So, sorry about that, but I'm back. So that's what it is, folks. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to answer some questions now, but that's what it is. Stay optimistic, stay positive. Don't buy into the fear. Don't buy into the hype. And please distance yourself from people who are just going to run you in circles for 4 years. They don't have an optimistic message. They say, give me donor money, give me donor money, give money, give money. And then as soon as they lose, they're all, oh my God, we're going to die. Oh my God. Don't unfollow people like that. They're horrible for your mental health. They're horrible in general. It's like they're just going to grift off these next 4 years, provide nothing, no solutions, no real reporting, nothing important, just, corny right-wing, talking points that don't even make sense anymore because of where we're at. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like those type of people, I'm unfollowing them personally. I want to be around optimistic people talking about finances, people talking about health. I'm working out more. I'm going to follow conservatives who tell the truth and do real reporting. There's a few of them, but all these other just characters who are just right-wing characters in the same way that Rashida Tlaib is a left-wing character. I'm just over it, because I feel like they're going to hold the movement back. And in general, there's too much weird stuff going on. But someone said, you're sounding more like the mainstream media every video. I don't think this video could possibly be any less like the mainstream media. I don't agree with that at all. And I don't think honest people do either, but was anyone watching the ceremony? No, I didn't watch it. I don't even care. Maybe I'll listen to what he said later, but I just don't care about what Joe Biden says. I get it. Unity. It's like, he's not even going to last 4 years. Damo, thank you. Laura said, what's your opinion on real voter integrity? It seems like we have no one to make the American people feel like our elections are free and fair. It's a good question. I mean, in general, that's my problem with November through January. It was sloppily done. It destroyed. I'm not blaming Trump because he also built up the party, but him and Lynn Wood essentially lost the election in Georgia. Even if it is a little rigged, I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but at the same time, if you have eyes on it, you have people watching in general, you really make sure that they can't pull off one of these things again. People would have voted, but they made people not trust the elections, and then nobody went and voted, and they lost, and now they lost all power. It's a mess. I don't really know what it is. I think in general, if people really are concerned about voting, try to get the country open to get away from these mass mail-in ballots. Also, machines, make a big case or, figure out a way to really investigate or challenge some of these machine companies and make sure that they're 100% fair without getting sued like Sidney Powell. I don't really know. I think they really screwed us this last year. Obviously, I've never fully trusted the machine stuff, but if that was the case, how did Trump win the first time, unless they wanted Trump to win? If he was their guy secretly, how did he win the first time? How did Republicans win the Senate in 20? I'm not saying it's not rigged. I think it is to a certain extent, but if it really was rigged as bad as people say, and everybody thinks Trump is this guy that they didn't want there, how did they let him win in 2016? How did they let him win in 2018? It doesn't make sense. I think to some extent it can be manipulated, but if enough people come out and vote, I believe it can be overpowered, which I think could have happened in Georgia the second time, but nobody wanted to vote. And the first time, I do think it was all very sketchy. But yeah, I don't really know how to fix that. I have no idea. It's got to be challenged in a serious way, and enough people have to really care. But I don't know. Someone said, question, do you think Antifa is going to do any more damage to America now that Democrats are in office? Oh, no question. I think Antifa is going to still destroy Portland. I think they're going to terrorize Democrat cities. And I think anytime the media reports a police killing in a dishonest light or in a real light, if something bad really happens, I think they're going to destroy every liberal city on a routinely basis. And I don't want it to happen, obviously, because a lot of good people live in liberal cities. But in a way, it is going to be interesting to watch how Democrats handle it. Ted Wheeler is a scared little man. Ted Wheeler's the governor of Portland. He's very far progressive, but he's not progressive enough. And you have to understand, this is the type of 5D chess that the QAnoners pretend that they're playing. Oh, 5D chess. No, you fell for a Bolshevik psyop to make you completely useless. You're not playing 5D chess. The Democrats played 5D chess. You played checkers with a fake psyop. You're embarrassing. No, not you. I'm just saying the people who push this stuff. Real 5D chess is understand, we're out of power now. Look what they do in Portland. They terrorize their own people. That's what the Bolsheviks do. That's what the communists do. They're so pure, but they're also, a lot of these people are like drug addicts and pedos and stuff. If you look at their criminal record, they're not the most stable people. Stable people don't support each other. Stable people are a mess. So, if people play their cards right, you're going to watch Democrats have too much to swallow. I feel bad for people in liberal cities, but I left a liberal city where there's a liberal mayor. So to be quite frank, I don't really care what happens in Los Angeles. I don't care what happens in Portland. I don't care what happens in DC. And at this point, I love New York City. I always have, but I don't care what happens in New York City. It's their loss. It's their problem. Just keep it away from me. So I think if people play their cards right, absolutely. These radical left-wing groups are going to terrorize their own people because they're totally out of control, and they have no loyalty. They have no loyalty. And this is just Bolsheviks and communists in general. A lot of times they take out their own constantly. They're not like Trump supporters are loyal. Say what you want about conservatives and patriots. They love their people, and they're probably one of the least dangerous groups. I don't care these BS studies they put out. It's like they back their own. The left does not really back their own. And to an extent on the right wing, to a fault, I think there's almost too much loyalty to people that don't have loyalty to you. On the left wing, I don't think any of these progressive groups are going to what they want Joe Biden to do it doesn't work. So it's like either he does it and it doesn't work, or he doesn't do it and they get mad at him. It's going to be interesting to see. Kenneth Rumsey said, Anami, I'm a big fan. Thanks for your work. Would you consider having a discussion with Nick Fuentes? It'd be interesting to see you both interact with your different ideologies. Yeah, I would absolutely consider having a conversation with him at a certain point. Baller said, remember when QAnon pointed the timestamps? What a waste of time and energy. They're trying. It's like people like Vincent Kennedy too. He puts dots and stuff. They try to act like they're such like wizards. They're like dot, 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 dot. It's like, guys, it's all fake. Yes, there's real. Like Pompeo's not dropping secret codes. You're not that special. You're not that smart. It's nuts that people fell for that, but it's whatever. Hopefully they stop doing it. I saw one post. They're trying to say that Biden's secretly on their side. They use like questions to act like they're Socrates. They're like, why would Joe Biden put his laptop? Why would Hunter Biden leave his laptop? Probably because he's a crackhead. But anyway, why would he do that? Why did he do that? Is it because Joe Biden wanted it to be found? Is Joe Biden on your side? They're going to tell people that Joe Biden's secretly working against the deep state. Now, I'm not even joking. Like these people are not based in reality. It's like a fantasy land, Disney club where you just sit around and you find the craziest people you can find, and everyone just makes up stuff. And you're like, it could be. It's like, I think Simon Parks is an alien and he comes from a land in Mercury, and Trump has a 12-dimensional cricket plan to go to India, play in the cricket finals, and hit a ball so hard that it hits the moon, and Space Force will catch it. And they're like, oh, could be. I don't know. Disinfo is necessary. Trust the plan. It's like, it's so bad. They're giving conspiracy theorists a bad name. It's really sad. It's okay. I'm going to read this. Someone said, so because you jumped off the Trump train before the test, you suddenly saw this coming. Yeah, right. And Q woke up many sleeping patriots. The ripple will go on for a long time. The Q people will never stop. They'll never stop. Yeah, it woke people up to put them to sleep. And I didn't jump off the Trump train. First of all, I was never full on find a picture of me in a MAGA hat. It doesn't exist. I'm not saying I didn't support him. I did, but I was never this cultist anyway. Even when I supported him, I said, I like him because he's doing a good job. I like him because he's better than everyone else. I like him because he's speaking the truth. I like him because he's doing a better job in Syria. I like him for real reasons. He's calling out the media. I never was a full-blown cultist. And then when he started screwing up and doing weird anti-freedom things like the First Amendment infringement, the Second Amendment infringement, the lockdowns, I did the same thing I did the last 4 years. I just said, I don't agree with this. And then that's when people freaked out. I haven't changed. I mean, I've evolved. I've learned a lot over the last 4 years. So I guess I have changed. But as far as like, I find a picture of me I went to a rally. I had a great time. I've been to every Trump event I go to. People are happy to see me, but I've never been someone who just closes my eyes, and I liked him for legitimate reasons. Unlike you, who liked him because you thought there was a super secret wizard 5-dimensional chess plan because Simon Parks told you that FEMA camps are good. So just give it up already. I get it. Q inspired a lot of people and then mentally damaged them to thinking there's a secret military intel plan and they're special enough to get codes 4 years in the future. Just drop it already. You're the most annoying people on the right wing by far. You're almost worse than liberals. But anyway. Someone said, I wonder how long Biden will stay in office before Drunk Losi drops the 25th Amendment on him. Drunk Losi. Yeah, I don't think he's going to last very long. I think the betting odds would probably be in the favor of him leaving. They're definitely going to, I think, cart him out eventually. He's a total puppet, though. He's like probably more of a puppet than George Bush was. You know, George Bush Jr., it was like his people doing everything. Even Trump, to an extent, had advisors. All the bad, it's the advisors. It's like no president really runs the full show, but I think Trump was the closest thing to it. Biden is the furthest thing to it. It's look at his whole, do a deep dive on his whole administration. They're going to be running the show. He's just going to be sitting there until they cart him out. Someone said, you're very handsome and not afraid to speak up. Well, thank you. 2 compliments at once. I'll take it. July 26th is an important date. These people will never stop. In 2018, they said, trust the plan. 2019, mass arrests. Trust the plan. 2020, Trump's going to win. Just wait till January 6th. Wait till the 20th. Wait till the 26th. It's like listening to Fauci about when you get your freedom back. It never happens because it's not real. Oh, you can do it with the vaccination. Oh, wait till the vaccination. Actually, you know what? Keep a mask on. Get 2 doses. Get it twice a year and just wait a few minutes. It's the same thing. Ooh, wait till the 26th. Oh, did I say January 26th? Ooh, I meant May 26th. Oops. Joe Biden put on a face mask and he's really Trump in disguise. Just stop brainwashing patriots already. It's evil. You work for the devil. Stop. Vincent Kennedy is a coward. He came on my thing. He got his Twitter deleted and made a new one. He's like, anomaly, I like you, but I think Operation Warp Speed is a super secret plan to save the future from Bill Gates. And I'm like, why do you think that? He's like, let's debate. And then he wouldn't debate. And I'm like, he won't debate because he's anonymous, because he's not who he says he is. He's like either an agent or just a cowardly man, or maybe he's not even a man. Who knows? But he's like, now he's like, oh, he knows he's wrong, but he's like, oh, look at the seismic activity today. There's something big going on. These people are evil. I'm like, you're a fraudulent, weak, brittle little coward, bro. Stop running MAGA moms. And if you read some of the comments, I'm going to read some of the comments under his Twitter to show you what these people are mentally doing to people. It's evil. And I will be the man that shames them into apologizing to people. Here's oh, great. He deleted it, so I can't even see it. This one guy was like, hey, Vincent, I really trust the plan. I've been trusting you for years. He's like, I've lost contact with all my friends and family because they said I was crazy for trusting the plan. I really hope it comes or else I'm going to be devastated. They're admitting that they lost their friends and family, not just liberal friends and family. They lost their conservative friends and family because everyone rightfully thinks they're insane. He's like, Vincent, I've lost everything that was important to me following the plan. I really hope it happens. I hope you're right. It's like, dude, how do you live with yourself that you've done this to thousands of people? You're evil. And then they invoke, God's name to trick Christians. I'm tired of these deceivers. At least with CNN, you know they're liars. At least with CNN, you don't tune into CNN and be like, oh man, I'm really getting the deep intel. No one does that. So they're almost worse than CNN. You tune into them being like, oh man, I'm getting a deep dive. No, they're scrambling your brains like a counterintelligence agent. And I will make them repent. In general, I'm doing a video on it. It's going to be done tomorrow. They're running out of room, folks. What do I think of Simon Parks? Just wait till my video tomorrow. People love him. I don't want to give it all away, but Simon Parks, he worked for the Labour Party, the Socialist Party of Britain, according to multiple reports. And he said he had sex with an alien, or his mother was an alien. And if you go to his website, he says that his family worked with the CIA, NSA, and MI6 in Britain. He comes from an intelligence family, and he's going on YouTube getting millions of views as a progressive socialist alien child who's telling Trump supporters that FEMA camps are good and the military is going to bring the enemies to the FEMA camps. He's a total con artist. He's probably counterintelligence. He brags about on his website how his family's from intelligence. He's probably not mistakenly misleading you. It's probably I'm going to really get it out there. I have a whole video on it. I'm working on it. It's going to take me hours after I finish this to edit and talk about all this stuff, all these people and who they openly admit that they are. He's a liar. You should think, okay, FEMA camps, lockdowns, don't be a fearmonger about it, but yeah, that's not ideal. You don't want the government to overreach and militarize the country with National Guard and vaccinations and FEMA camps. That's a little weird, isn't it? But it's not weird if you listen to Simon Parks, who tells you the opposite and tells you, oh, don't worry, don't think about that. That's for Joe Biden. Why would they take Joe Biden to a FEMA camp? You think they don't have higher level security if they're going to arrest Joe Biden? They're just going to put him in a FEMA camp that they just built a few months ago? It's so obviously fake. You can't, at a certain point, you can't even blame these people. Blame yourself for being this naive and this easy to fool. If you're this easy to fool, what's the difference between you and someone who watches CNN? Oh, they watch CNN. They're so stupid. It's a better argument than Simon Parks. It's the same thing. You're just as easy to fool. And they know how to take advantage of patriots. Tell them something they want to hear. Tell them that there's a super secret plan, and also invoke the Lord's name. They do it all the time. It's like if I fed you a lie and then said, Jeremiah 5:4, they know how to invoke, hey, patriots, you like Christ, like, yeah, so FEMA camps are on your side. It's like, no, they're not. These people are so obviously dishonest. Andrew Smith said, it's sad a friend of mine thinks big tech censorship of COVID conspiracy is good since it prevents defying lockdowns, which gets people killed. Yeah, that's the left wing. They're pro-censorship, pro-big government, pro-authority. Anybody who questions the lockdown, they need to be censored. That's where the left wing is going. So we need a strong counter to that. We can't have a strong counter to that if you're following agents who are alien childs telling you about FEMA camps. That's not going to, you get what I'm saying? They're going to do stuff like this to derail the movement. They don't want 80 million strong people. So they're going to give you people and leaders and YouTubers who feed you misinfo and disinfo to purposely run you off a cliff. So the left wing is going to get crazy. So we need the right wing to be sane and present in order to combat it. Pedro said, hey, first time donating. I don't feel the need to riot like Antifa for 4 years because Biden won. Message to the people, make your life better and make you great again, MIGA. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you for the super chat. Someone said Jesus wants you in a concentration camp, LMAO. That's like what they're saying to people. Lynn Wood is the same way. He said, I'm positive Trump's going to be president for more than 4 years. It's not even more than 4 years, not just 4 years, Lynn Wood, more than 4 years. Bro, they can't stop lying. Lynn Wood is such a snake oil salesman. He's a great lawyer, but I've caught him posting hoax articles, hoax Pelosi screenshots that are Photoshop, conservative beaver fake news about, the Pope getting arrested that never happened because it was a hoax article and a hoax website. And then he posts that he's sure and everybody believes him. These people are literally derailing the MAGA movement, maybe purposely, maybe by a mistake, but it's not your job to figure out why they're lying so much. Hey, Jesus tells you that FEMA camps are good. You like Jesus, right? You're like, I love Jesus. You're like, well, wouldn't it be cool if Jesus had a secret plan to vaccinate you in a FEMA camp? You're like, dude, stop. Just stop already. These people are so nuts. Do I think Biden will do anything good? Here's the positive thing. I have no expectations. I don't see him doing anything good. So if he does anything good, I'll be like, wow, that's better. It's like if I have zero expectations. I'm not just saying that. For Trump, I had low expectations, but not no expectations. For Biden, I have no expectations. So he can only impress me because there's no low he could go that would even shock me. So I think there'll probably be a few things he does that surprise people, but probably not many. I have no idea. We'll have to watch. Someone said, in my opinion, Linwood got Parler shut down. He got Parler. I mean, I'm not going to blame him completely, but he pretty much lost the Georgia election. He definitely helped to do that, but whatever. Who cares about the GOP? But with Parler, half the reason they're like, there's all these threats. He's on there firing off things about Pence is going to face a firing squad. I get what he's saying. If he committed treason, he could face a firing squad, but that's not how Linwood was wording it. And of course, yeah, if you're Facebook or YouTube or even Gab you can't just let anything. You can let free speech, but you can't let death threats. There's a certain point where it's going to get your website taken down or you have to start editing it. So he was a huge reason that Parler got taken down. It's like the dude, and now he has a Telegram channel where he's telling people that Trump's going to be there for at least 4 more years. He's a total liar. And he invokes God's names, and Christians love it because they love Trump, they love Jesus, so they just assume Linwood wouldn't lie to him. He is lying. It's insane. I don't know why he's doing it, but it's very selfish. It's very egotistical. It's not very Christ-like, and it's very detrimental to success for conservatives. So I'm not sure what he's doing. Satina said, you always keep it 100 Anomaly. Thanks, Satina. I appreciate you. Keep up the good work. I'm proud of you. We need to continue to fight the lockdowns, mask, and vaccination mandates. Let's get our business and schools open. Amen. Absolutely. And that'll be interesting. Obviously, now there's not so much distraction. Hopefully things can focus on that, and we can do what we can do. I'm interested to see what Trump does because now he's out of office. Is he going to really combat the lockdowns? And people say, how could Trump do that, Anomaly? When he was president, he has no power. Not true, but whatever. How is he going to? It's like he's the biggest leader of the world. He has hundreds of millions of people listening to him. So how could he do that? He could put out a tweet and say, every restaurant, don't close. If he did that, the whole country would probably be open today because tens of thousands of business leaders follow him religiously. So he could do a million things. But the question is he going to do that? Or is Trump going to Operation Warp Speed, Moderna, Pfizer? I gave Pfizer money. I gave Moderna. It's me, not Joe Biden. That will tell you who Trump really is. Is he the freedom fighter for America? Or is he just another false messiah who's more concerned about his ego, his image, and his vaccine sales than he is the country? I don't know what's going to happen, but that's going to tell you everything you need to know about Trump. Let's see what he does in the next few months. Does he defend his legacy of vaccine rushing? Or does he actually try to put his money where his mouth is, maybe? Dave Portnoy has very little power compared to Trump, and he's raised and saved hundreds of businesses. Trump has done virtually nothing. He's not even tried. He's not even said anything. He talked about Moderna more than he talks about small businesses that are getting crushed. So what could he do? A million things. He's just not doing them. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but if he's going to be the leader of the free world, he needs to be the leader of the free world. If he wants to just be this is what I did, then I have no interest in following him, voting him in 2020, 24. It's not of interest to me. Andrew Smith said, how do you still have 218K subscribers, or how do you only have 218,000 subscribers after all this time? Is it really just censorship? This is one of the best channels on YouTube. You should have at least 1 million subs. We're lucky to have you. Well, thank you, Andrew. That's nice. No, I mean, I'm on other platforms. On Facebook, I think I have like 1.6 million people. So on Facebook, I'm getting huge numbers and getting sometimes my live streams get like 120,000 views on Facebook. So between all the platforms, they average like 150,000 views. So I get them in other places. My Instagram, when I drop a new video, I'll just give you an example. It'll get 300,000 views on Facebook or 200,000 views. Then it'll get like 10 to 40,000 views on YouTube. And then it'll sometimes get 500,000 views on even Instagram. So I'm just spread out among all the social media. I don't think it's censorship. Honestly, YouTube is not censoring me that much. I think for a while they shadow banned me and made it impossible to find my channel, but they took it off like a year ago or so. I don't know. They always switch their algorithm. So I don't think YouTube's really censoring me. I just think people probably watch other places. So and this is important with censorship too. I'll tell you when they're censoring me. I understand this stuff, and I'm not the boy who cried wolf. Some people just act like they're getting shadow banned on Twitter when they're not. They have huge engagement. They're getting 30,000 retweets saying, I'm shadow banned on Twitter. If you're getting 20,000, 30,000 retweets, you're fine. Like even people for a while, they're like, anomaly, they're censoring you on Facebook. I'm like, no, they're not. I'm getting 6 million views a week. Like if they're censoring me, they're doing a bad job. But in general, then they censored me. Then they did shadow ban me. Then they took away my reach. Then they took away my monetization. So I told you, and I explained how they're doing it. It's important to do this because you don't want to be the boy who cried wolf. Censorship is real. Shadow banning is real. It's all real. So we have to point it out accurately. If everybody gets sloppy with it, it just gets confusing. So, I like some of these accounts like, I lost followers on Twitter. I'm like, bro, you're getting 10,000 retweets. If you're being shadow banned, you're not going to pass 200. You'll know it. So you have to, well, you don't have to, but I try to make sure I'm honest about it. I don't think YouTube censoring me right now. Someone said Q woke you all the F up. No, it really didn't. Here's, I'm going to say it like I said yesterday, but Q piggybacked off of Julian Assange. With Julian Assange Podesta emails, that's where the whole motivation for Q even came. Most of it came from Podesta emails. Most of it came from Trump winning. Trump was a real person. I give him more credit than Q. At least Trump was really there. Trump did it, not Q. Q's a fake PSYOP post, okay? So you piggyback off of Julian Assange, and then Q got all his followers to turn against WikiLeaks. Ooh, WikiLeaks is fake now. You mean the organization that did the leak that put you in there in the first place because you're piggybacking off of the human trafficking research that people have been doing for 2 years? Q didn't wake people up. People like Julian Assange and Trump woke people up, and then Q took credit for it, ran people off a cliff, and scrambled people's brains so they didn't know what was going on because they thought they were being fed secret military intel, and they were wrong. So no, some people got woke up by Q, but not everyone. Oh, you got woke up by Q. No, I thought from the beginning Q was kind of goofy because I was like, I don't understand. You think it's secret military? They're like, yeah, but disinfo is necessary. Disinfo is necessary? So how do you know what to believe? Well, I know what to believe because I'm fighting the deep state. Well, if it's disinfo, how do you know what's real and how do you know it's not? And if you're not fooled, how come the deep state's not fooled? Are you that much smarter than the deep state that you know what's real, but they don't know what's real? It's been a psyop the whole time. It's a mind control tactic. Disinfo is necessary, so you're scrambling to figure out what's real and what's fake, and you have no idea. And if you know, the deep state knows. And if you don't know, the deep state doesn't know. It scrambled and destroyed more Trump supporters than it ever will the deep state. In some ways, it was beneficial, but in most ways, it wasn't. So I said, do you think the Q movement is dead, or do you feel they will further splinter the Republican Party? Some of them will repent. Some of them will apologize. Some of them will never stop. They're either pathological liars or they're controlled opposition intel. I have my suspicion on which ones are which, but I don't speak and say I know when I don't know. I don't know who these people are. Half of them are anonymous and use these anonymous accounts and use fake names. I don't know who they are, and I don't care. I'm not trying to dox them or really care. I'm just saying some of them will apologize. Some of them will realize it's a hoax. Other of them will keep going. And out of the ones who keep going, I guarantee you some of them are, good people who are just really egotistical and naive, and others are probably paid to do that. What better way to destroy the Trump movement and conservatives than to control it? And it's the same thing. This is what I'm doing my next video on. It's the same thing as Operation Trust. They did this during the Bolshevik Revolution. They launched an operation using military generals like General Flynn, who, by the way, was upgraded under President Obama. I like General Flynn, but I don't trust General Flynn because QAnon told me to. General Flynn is in the intelligence community and the military. He was a general under Obama. He got upgraded. Trump hired him, fired him. And then QAnon made everybody trust him like he's the Messiah. He told everybody he was 100% sure Trump would be there for 4 more years, and he lied. He could be part of it too. I mean, his family seems nice and he seems nice, but how do I know he's not in on it? He doesn't seem to be very honest, and he led people into the Q stuff. But this is what they did during Operation Trust. They used military generals that people trusted, counterintelligence, and told everybody there was a secret military plan coming to save us. And they did it because there was no plan to save them, but they wanted all the patriots who would normally do something about it to think there was a secret plan. and they gathered all the information of all the people who were trusting the plan and Operation Trust under the Bolsheviks, and the Bolsheviks used it to collect evidence on every single person who opposed them and then persecuted them. And it's the same thing they're doing with QAnon. It's the Operation Trust of the new era. Gather all these people together, realize who they are, and instead of finding you and killing you, they're just purging you off social media. Every major Q account's gotten purged. You could think it's, oh, that means they're really real. No, they just put you in a honeypot, gathered millions of people there, and then used it as an excuse to act you off social media. Because believe it or not, it's not that easy. Obviously, it is in some ways, but you could also face lawsuits if you do it unethically. So you get what I'm saying? It's a total scam. It's a total scheme. I'll show you in my next video, though. I have the evidence. I have all the clips of people who lied. I'm just going to ask the question. I don't know who's who. I'm not going to throw out accusations, but why are you lying to people, Mike Lindell? Why did you lie to people, General Flynn? Why do you keep lying to people, Linwood? Simon Parks, I think I know why you're lying to people. X22, why did you lie to people for a couple of years? Ask them the questions, show what Operation Trust is, and I have a fantastic video to really show all that stuff because, Trump supporters and Q people, they need to see this, and then they need to decide for themselves because the PSYOP has gone far enough, folks. Someone said, what's up with the vaccine? I mean, you got to just read the reports. There's reports out of Norway about the vaccine. Search Norway, Pfizer vaccine, I think it was. There's reports out of California. They're mismanaging the vaccine. There's reports out of San Diego that they paused a whole batch because of side effects. I can't tell you what is or isn't going on with this vaccine. Follow Alex Berenson. He's really, really good. If you have a Twitter, I don't know where else he is, but Alex Berenson is an ex-New York Times reporter, and he's really good. He doesn't work there anymore. They wouldn't let him, I'm sure. But he's really covering all the vaccine stuff fantastically, 10 times better than I can, doing a great job, showing you the data of all the stuff that they won't do. And Trump, in my opinion, it's one of his biggest betrayals to the American people because he knows about this stuff. He tweeted about it before he was in office. And then instead of doing a vaccine safety council with RFK, he decided to side with a big pharma lobbyist, and he became a big pharma salesman himself. And none of these companies have liability. I have a friend that's a girl, a pretty girl. She's a couple years younger than me or something, singer, doing fantastic. Her arm doesn't work anymore, not because of the warp speed ones, but she's got to go through the government compensation. Her whole arm doesn't work. So people don't know about this stuff because the media doesn't talk about it. They censor and silence anybody who does talk about it. And then they have this scheme where they're not liable. The government will pay you out maybe if you're lucky, but in general, the pharmacy companies have zero liability, which is very odd for a company. That very rarely happens. And you see with Facebook and Google and Twitter, what does that lead to? They have no liability. They're a public utility. They're a private company. They just do everything and they're not accountable for anything that they do. It's the same except worse for pharmacy companies. They're never held accountable. So Trump rushes Operation Warp Speed, two things that are never going to have to suffer, the government who funded them and the pharmacy company who pushed it out. So how many people are being hurt? I don't know. It's hard to speak about because they censor it, but follow Alex Berenson or do your own research because the numbers are higher than people realize and they don't care. Why should they care? They'll never have to pay a dime. They shame anybody into thinking that it's happening. And they try to delete all your social media accounts if you really point this stuff out accurately. Robert F. Kennedy does a fantastic job. He seems to be pretty mainstream, probably because of his family connections. He's been on Mike Tyson's Hot Box. Great podcast, by the way. RFK and Mike Tyson, fantastic. He goes on mainstream media. He goes on podcasts. He does a good job. Alex Berenson does a good job. There's a lot of people that do a good job on that, but it's a great question, and it's one of the main components, I think, to the lockdown. And that's not really a good idea, but you could learn. Bingo said, heard Trump was blackmailed not to release Assange. I heard that as well. I think, the reports were saying that they were trying to get Trump not to pardon Assange, but Here's the thing. I don't think Trump really ever was going to pardon Assange anyway. I think every time Trump doesn't do something people want him to do, they say, oh, it's his advisors. So on one hand, Trump's the super strong guy who's not beholden to anybody. But on the other hand, every time that he doesn't do something, he was blackmailed. It was his advisors. It was Jared. It was this person. It was Sheldon Adelson. It's like, which one is it? Is he free for the people, or is he just another guy that can't make a decision for himself? But in general, Trump doesn't really like whistleblowers. If you look at his history, he hates whistleblowers. He only used Julian Assange to win an election. Julian Assange and WikiLeaks helped him win the election. So on the campaign trail, WikiLeaks. He used it 100 times because it helped him win the election. As soon as the election's over, I don't know who WikiLeaks is because he doesn't really care. It's the same with Alex Jones. I don't agree with everything that Alex says or that he broadcasts. I think he hosts a lot of really crummy people, like the guy who pushed the sting operation with the watermark ballots thing. That came from Alex. But in general, Alex helped Trump win. He had 1 billion views on his channel. So Alex helps Trump win. They have House, Senate, and presidency, all 3 branches. Alex gets wiped off social media in 2018. Trump doesn't help Alex Jones because he doesn't really care about people who help him. He cares, I think, about himself. And I think that's what kind of ended it, is he won't call in the National Guard to save you if you live in a city, but he'll call the National Guard against you because he cowers to the left just like anybody does. Oh, I'm sorry, my supporters did this. Here, he signed off on the National Guard against you, not for you. That's just kind of who he is, I think. So he never liked whistleblowers. I don't think he likes Snowden. I don't think he likes Assange. And Trump surrounded himself by people who hate Julian Assange, Pompeo, all his advisors and stuff. I don't think anybody was like pro Julian Assange. His base probably was like 95% pro Julian Assange or 90%, but it's not about you. That's what I'm saying. I hate to say it, but it's like the Democrats, they use Black America to win an election. So when it's election time, they act like they care about Black people. And then when the election's over, they're just back to being the same old, same old. It's the same thing with Trump supporters and Christians. It's like they do just enough to pretend like they care about you, but when you actually want something in a 90% majority, they're going to side with the donor class. They're going to side with the deep state. They're going to side with the powerful people around them who tell them, don't do it. And in general, I don't think Trump ever even wanted to do it anyway. He's not like a whistleblower fanatic. I think he's the type of person who thinks whistleblowers are bad, so I don't think that was ever in his thing. But his pardon list was terrible. I like Lil Wayne. I think Lil Wayne deserves a pardon. Kodak Black did a music video, and I'm not a big Kodak Black fan, but in general, he did a music video where he equated people in MAGA hats to KKK members, and Trump pardons him and some Israeli agent that helped sell out American intel secrets. And Joe Exotic didn't even get a pardon. I mean, if you're going to pardon some goofy characters, at least give my man Exotic Joe, get him out there for Tiger King season 2. We couldn't even get Tiger King season 2 out of Trump. I'm furious. No, but in general, there were some weirdo pardons. Kwame or whatever, the dude, Democrat from, corrupt mayor or whatever he was, governor. Some weirdo names on there. It's like he was just pardoning. He was pardoning and clemencing the swamp and people who hate him. I wanted to see this real quick. Lobbyist, Trump, order. I believe he did this too, which should really show people. Yeah, President Trump rescinds his own lobby ban. I'm going to read this. It's on Wall Street Journal. He posted a Drain the Swamp lobbying ban to make it so 5 years after people leave the White House, they can't just use it for lobbying. About an hour after midnight, President Trump struck down his 2017 executive order that had blocked administration officials from taking lobbying jobs for 5 years after office. That was one of his main, I'm draining the swamp. People aren't going to be able to take lobbying jobs, but he wants his administration to get lobbying money. So he rescinded his Drain the Swamp executive order. He went out like a total PUSSY. He went out like a little baby, like a little fraud. That's what, MAGA people are turning against him. No, all his huge supporters, even the ones that support him 50 times harder than I do, they all realized in the last 2 days he wasn't who they thought he was. That's what happened. People aren't turning against him to be mean and betray him. It's like he betrayed us. I get it. He wants lobbying money. He wants spies pardoned who stole U.S. military secrets. I'm not trying to be mean, but you think you're fighting China. Trump is pardoning people who stole U.S. military secrets that quite possibly ended up in the hands of China. It's just a show. China virus. Did you stop Chinese pharmaceuticals? Did you stop Chinese products? Because millions of Chinese products are coming into America every week or every month. So if we're really at war with China, we probably shouldn't be importing this much because they could use it against us. Did you get to the bottom of the lab thing? Okay, China released this virus. So did you get to the bottom of it? Did you study the Wuhan lab or really get that information out to people? Or did it come from a bat and a pangolin? Like they said, they didn't get to the bottom of anything. They just shouted China virus, let their friends make lobbying money, pardoned a bunch of anti-American people who hurt our country, and then kept it moving. And people like Assange and Snowden, who actually did something to benefit the country, are left hanging because that's just what happened. And his own supporters got left hanging too. I'm not being mean, but he can call the National Guard against you to virtue signal to left wingers, but he can't call them in to actually help you during the riots. He never really wanted to. I think he wanted to do just enough to make people think he was doing something, but never enough to actually put, us in a position to get enough. And then I'm not trying to pile on him, but I'm listening to his speech and like people I follow, like, oh my God, that was the greatest farewell speech ever. It was weak. He's like, oh, I ended exactly where I wanted to. I'm like, this is what you wanted? You wanted a lockdown quarantine? At least be like, hey, this isn't what I wanted. I got bamboozled. They hit me with the virus. I would have respected him more if he said, this isn't ideal, but I did a lot. I did as much as I could do. And, I'm going to still fight. He's acting like this is where he wanted to lead off. He's like, I did exactly what I wanted to do. We went exactly where I wanted to go. Operation Warp Speed. I got it done fast. It was the weakest, most pathetic farewell speech I've ever seen. It was not good. It was not strong. It was weak and cowardly and totally, okay, I get it. He wants his legacy to look good. He doesn't really care that much about the lockdowns. Joshua said both sides supporters are actually a lot alike. We need to figure out how to bring everyone together. Maybe a naked Marxist will convince us. We'll see. Eric Acuna, thank you. So Janice said, please speculate on if Trump might have things to say that he couldn't say in office. Well, that's it. I can't speak on behalf of him, but just keep an eye on. If Trump starts becoming super real, you'll know he's the real deal. If he starts spiraling and just talking about Operation Warp Speed, then he was never, he was never that guy. So I don't know. Just keep your eye on what he said. I'll read this, even though it's negative. John said, and Biden was a better choice. WTF? Anomaly sounds more like you're kissing leftist ass pretty hard. Well, first of all, that's called a straw man argument. When you don't want to go at what I said, you make up a own side argument and you fight with the side argument. It's a classic leftist tactic and even a right-wing tactic when you can't debate what I said because it's all true. So instead of saying, okay, I agree with you, but I don't like Biden, you say, oh, so you're saying that Joe Biden would be better? Look at this stream. Have I ever said that? Did I say that? No, I never said it. I never will because I don't think that. So that's called a straw man argument when you can't face what I said. So you make a side argument and fight with the thing that I never said. Now, I never said Biden was better, but that's the trap. He's doing this. They're doing this. They're both going in the same direction and making you think that it's sustainable. It was never sustainable anyway. At least now you know. Charles said Biden's going to spearhead globalism now. Nationalists is going to be considered criminal racist across the globe. They aren't going to gamble losing control of the U.S. Senate again. Just my 2 cents. We'll see what happens. He's definitely going to go more hard on nationalism or harder. He's definitely going to be more of a globalist. But, it's time for people to shine. It's time for people to, step up. It's time for people lost their security blanket. So you need to look at it as a positive. It happened. You can't change it. So what do we do from here? We're going to just make moves. Do I like the Ramones? I do. I'm not like a huge Ramones fan, but I like a few songs that I've heard. I don't know their whole discography though. Someone said, shout out for Canada. Thank you so much. Much love for your real reporting. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Someone said, why would Trump do this? James E. Johnson Jr., full pardon to charges of illegal hunting of wildlife bird. Yeah, I didn't read the full list, but out of the ones I did see, he just pardoned a bunch of swamp people, and then he rescinded the executive order for lobbying so his people could get lobbying money. It's like, that was probably one of the main drain the swamp executive orders to stop people from, going to Washington and selling their status for money when they leave. But he wanted his friends to make money. I get it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Someone said government is a bunch of hypocrites. Pretty much. Do I like Frank Zappa? I'm not that familiar with Frank Zappa. I don't really know any songs from him. Why am I not a libertarian? I mean, in some ways I am, but I don't really like cling on to any of these words because it's like, okay, if you're a libertarian, here's your option, Joe Jorgensen. It's like, nah, I'll pass on that. That's like, okay, you're a conservative. And then you have all these people at college campuses saying, I'm a conservative, but they can't conserve anything. And I don't agree with them. So I don't, I'm not trying to distance myself, but you can call me what you want, conservative, libertarian, reporter, news analyst. I just, go by what I think. I just, anytime it becomes like a whole movement, that movement ends up not doing what the movement's supposed to. So, I don't know. The Libertarian Party is not impressive to me. Just like the people they choose, I'm like, nah. Roy said, appreciate what you're doing. Please keep up these videos. People wake up to what Biden's really about, and you're going to have liberals on here following. Oh, no, even now, I mean, I know people get mad at me and stuff, but for the most part, I probably get more liberals to watch my videos than anybody because I'm not always being that rude and mean. I'm not as inflammatory. So I've already gotten millions of liberals to see me. I helped Candace Owens really get a lot of eyes when she wasn't. When she was underrated, I helped Brandon Straka get eyes when people didn't know who he was. So all these left wing to right wing movements, I've been a major part in all of them. So not only my own page, but two of the biggest, left to right movements, I helped elevate when they were on ground level. So I've done my fair share of getting liberals. I've done more than, most people to get liberals to see what's going on. I'll continue to do that. I know how to, I get messages all the time. Like, I don't like most conservatives, but I get what you're saying. So I don't do it for that reason. I don't pander to them, but I remember sometimes I do get annoyed. Like I get with the Q people. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes liberals are really annoying and really frustrating. But I remember what it's like to believe that stuff because that's what they taught me. That's what I learned in school. They taught me to hate America. They taught me to not pay attention to communism and socialism at all and just think that Hitler was the only bad thing that happened, when in reality, Stalin killed more people, Pol Pot killed more people, and they don't teach that. I don't remember learning that ever. It's not in the movies as much. So I know what it's like to believe in climate change because I thought it was like the realest thing ever until I started studying glaciers and temperatures and doing the data analysis myself. And I realized the same thing I realized with Corona. It's the same thing. Is coronavirus real? Yeah, I think it's a real virus. Is climate change real? Well, of course, listen to the name, climate change. Yeah, the climate changes every day, everywhere, all the time. But is it to the extent that they're saying it's the same thing? Do the ends justify the means? Is the Paris Climate Agreement going to change the climate? Is our carbon going to get so out of control that we're all going to die? No, I don't think so. And I could back it up with science and facts the same way. So I understand where they're coming from because I remember thinking that, and I remember why I thought that. So I try to keep that in mind when I make videos, but I'm not going to lie. Sometimes liberals are really annoying and it's funny to make fun of them sometimes, just like it is with the Q people. But I mean, well, the Q people are annoying and it's fun. It's just funny to make a joke about sometimes. Eric said, wouldn't it be considered discrimination if they say you can't go somewhere and your kids can't go there without being vaccinated? It's a good question. I think it's going to come down constitutionally. There's a constitutional argument in Massachusetts. I think it's Massachusetts versus Jacobson, and they determined that they can mass vaccinate you for the greater good of the public. So the only Supreme Court case that they've really taken about that did not go in our favor. It went in the favor of the people who want to mass vaccinate you. Now there's a new Supreme Court. Those cases are going to start to come in because it really depends on a state level, on a corporate level. They're going to try to do it, and it's going to come down to the courts. So we'll see. Can they do it? Technically, it depends who the judge is. So they've actually ruled against us before in the early 1900s, believe it or not. So they can mass vaccinate people at certain things, but you could also get a lawyer and make the argument. So that's what it's going to come down to. Legal and physical, resistance to I'm not, if enough workers say no, they can't do it. If enough people take it to the law and win, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope they back off, but we'll see. Someone said kids under 15 can't get vaccinated. I don't know about that though, because certain schools are going to try to make kids vaccinated. I talked to somebody that were they came over from Europe and Russia, and they said that in order to come here, you have to get a flu shot. They use your lack of citizenry or lack of being a citizen. If you have a visa or whatever, they force you to get a flu shot. You can't go to school if you're an immigrant or you're a on a temporary visa unless you get a flu shot. So they have all these ways of making you get it, and it already exists. So can they expand that? Absolutely. It really matters how many people resist it, how many people sue. But this idea that they can't do it, I think people are wrong. I don't think they should do it. I don't agree with it, but I've said this since April or May, when everybody was like, oh, well, if Trump does Operation Warp Speed, he'll never make it mandatory. He's not even the president. And I said this before. And also, I'm not trying to be mean, but who cares what Trump says? Oh, he's going to rush the vaccine and we'll never get it mandated. But then the same people that say that try to tell me that he has no power. Anomaly, Trump has no power. It's just the states. Okay, but Trump doesn't want the mandatory vaccine. So which one is it? Does he have the power to make it not mandatory, or is it up to the states? You don't realize what a hypocrite you become when you love someone so much, you don't believe anything true anymore. And that's why I've got fed up with a lot of right wingers. Like, you make two separate arguments for two separate things to justify like fantasy land. So, even if Trump was president, he's not going to have the say with corporations. He's not going to have the say with states. He's not going to have a say in most areas. You get what I'm saying? On airlines, he clearly can't do anything about it. So when it comes to Biden, he could make a national power grab. He couldn't. But also it will, I think, with the vaccine, be more up to the corporations and states than it will the president and the Supreme Court and the local courts. So we'll see what happens. But this idea that because Trump pushes a vaccine, it's never going to be mandatory because he said so, who cares what he said? This was obvious then, but it doesn't matter. It was going to happen anyway. Someone said, please stop calling it a vaccine. I think that's true. It's like an mRNA physical therapy vaccine, a COVID spike protein. It's mRNA. People should educate themselves on it because it is true. It's not really a vaccine. It's not a true or a normal vaccine. Normal vaccines give you a little bit of the virus and your body fights it to an extent. This one is synthetic mRNA. It's new. It's one of the fastest rushed vaccine ever. And if you look at the data, I'm not going to tell you, find the Moderna, search about what's going on. If there's any been side effects, there's enough to go around and there's enough mainstream articles to read about it. So yeah, I will never get it. If you want to, that's fine, but I will never get it. I don't care what they try to make me do. I'll leave before I ever inject that into my body. But if you want to, knock yourself out. All right, a few more and then I'm going to take off. I know I always say that and I last an hour, but I do want to edit my video today. I have a really good breakdown video. It's going to take me hours to edit. I want to have it out Thursday morning. So it's Wednesday. I want to edit that, eat lunch, and do that. So I have that video there. So check back tomorrow morning on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, BitChute, if you follow me there. And I will have a video, probably my best expose on trusting the plan and Operation Trust and what they're really doing. And I hope people consider it, because now that everything that these people said didn't happen during the election, hopefully people are more open to it, because I feel honestly horrible for the people that fell for it. But I don't feel bad for the people who said it. Like X22, that dude should feel deep shame today. That guy is a fraud. Accounts that have pushed this on the people, I don't feel bad for them. I feel bad for the people who listen to them. But I have a great video explaining what happened. I'm going to read this. Ryan said, I agree with you, Anomaly, but I also think it's possible Trump was strong-armed into singing a different tune. Maybe he was worried about his life and his family after leaving. Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to just like act like Trump didn't do anything good or anything. I'm sure, I think he's thinking about himself and his family for sure. But I don't think, I think he liked Julian Assange when it was convenient for him, and he didn't like Julian Assange when it was convenient for him. I think he supports his supporters when it's convenient for him and turns the National Guard on his supporters when it's convenient for him. I think he supports Alex Jones when it can win him an election and leaves Alex Jones censored when he doesn't want to get censored as well. So I think that's kind of the fault personally. I'm not going to blame him for everything, but yeah, I think that's exactly it. He cares about himself, and everybody thinks that he cares about his supporters so much. But I don't know that that's really a high priority for him. So he probably locked down the country or whatever. Maybe that was better for his pockets and he didn't want Pfizer to be mad at him or something. But shouldn't that tell you that he's not the leader of the free world if he's willing to lock down and, turn his back on his own people because he's afraid? That's fine if people think that, but it's like the same people that'll say that, I'm not saying you, Ryan, but some people who say that to me are the same ones who think he's Aquaman, who's never made a mistake in his life, and he cares about his supporters more than he cares about himself, where it's like, pick one or the other. It's the same with like Operation Warp. Oh, he's he has no power anomaly. It's just the governors. He obviously had a role in the lockdowns, but okay, let's pretend like he didn't. He has no power. But he said the vaccine is not going to be mandated. So he has no power, but you're listening to him say the vaccine won't be mandated. So you give him a pass, even though he knows, I know, and you should know the vaccine will be mandated when it's not up to him. So, I feel what you're saying, but it's like, yeah, I'm sure he did what was good for him, but it doesn't mean it was good for me or the country or the Constitution. And in many cases, it just wasn't. But I feel like it's a very difficult job, and it's probably above his pay grade to really get anything done to that extent. Masha said, please reiterate what has gone in our favor as of late, not being negative. It's all about perception. There are two positives to focus on. I told people at the beginning of this, but I think it's a wake-up call. I think hopefully, I'm not going to tune out completely because I'm still going to do reporting, but the whole fight of the last 4 years was exhausting. Every day, every article, if you're right-wing, it's exhausting. If you're left-wing, it's exhausting. Hating Trump, loving Trump, defending Trump, fighting Trump. Hopefully we can reorganize this and it can get better in that way. We could still oppose what Joe Biden's doing, but hopefully we can, I'm trying to use my phone less. I'm trying to do more stuff that's better for my mental health because that I can control. So look at stuff like that. The awakening, I think now 80 million patriots don't think there's a super plan that Trump has, and they realize that there is no plan. I mean, you could look at that as like the scariest thing in the world, or you could look at it as a positive. Like, okay, we are the change. There is no security blanket. We now have to figure out how to make our country better and keep it afloat. I'm not any more sad or worried than I was yesterday. I kind of figured this out, that this was going to happen anyway. So it's, it is what it is. Focus on yourself, your life, what you can do. And that's all we can do. Someone said, never put your trust in men. I agree. I mean, if you have a friend that you trust or you have a politician that you kind of trust, I think a little trust is okay. But yeah, people put Christ-like faith into a guy, and just didn't want to see anything outside of that. I think that probably doesn't work. Someone said, still love Trump. No, he's a very lovable guy. He's the funniest, most interesting president we've ever had, most likable. He's a very great speaker. If you're in the room with him, he knows how to work a room. He knows how to crack a joke. He's a very likable guy. And I think he still did some things that were really impressive. So I think over 100 million people on this planet still love Trump, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, not building back better like the Global Economic Forum or whatever, but, just reorganizing and figuring out what to do with all this momentum and inspiration and then go from there. Someone said anomaly flipped. No, just you could watch this video back if you want to hear what I think. Someone said the Hunter Biden laptop. Yeah, what about it though? I mean, what do you want to do with it? What do you think it's going to lead to? Someone said America is effed. With that mentality, it is. But this is the weird part, I think. This road has been here for 40, 50 years now. It's been heading in this direction. Even under Trump, it was still heading in that direction. So people who thought America was going to be saved 4 months ago are now freaking out. It's like a spiral. You're going from here to here. It was already happening. It was inevitable, whether he won or lost. Like this was all happening. So you have to face it. You can't just spiral and be afraid. You have to face what's going on. And that's the problem with the last 30, 40, 50 years. No one's going to correct all the mistakes America made for you. It's just not possible. But people wanted to believe that Trump or QAnon was going to save their whole world. It's really cowardly, in my opinion. It's like a lazy way to think that all your wrongs are going to be secretly righted by one guy, regardless of what reality says. It's like, that's not how America's going to be saved. America's screwed if 70 million patriots say, America's screwed, I give up. Yeah, then you just gave up on your country the same way people did from the 60s until now. They gave it up on America. They gave up on liberty. They stopped looking at the school system in Hollywood and just thought they were going to kick the can down the road. They kicked the can down the road for 50 years, and here we are. So either you're going to think you're screwed and then just give up, or you're going to face the consequences. If George Washington and Thomas Jefferson could achieve everything they achieved, I think we can achieve more. We're not in the worst position in the world. We're really not. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot better, but it could be way worse. This is nothing in some ways compared to what our ancestors have had to go through. So it all depends how you look at it. It's not the end of the world. America's not screwed unless you think it is, but that's part of the problem. Putting your faith into one person like Trump was going to save your life. And then when he doesn't, you spiral and give up. It's like, no, let's not. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you. Someone said Biden is impeachable. It just doesn't really matter, though. If it makes you feel good, my opinion doesn't really matter. If it makes you feel good, run in circles around Marjorie Greene and Lauren Boebert, who's going to impeach Joe Biden, and give them all your money, and then just watch what happens. He's not going to get impeached. If anything, they're going to 25th Amendment. And I think they're better politicians. I'm not trying to pick on them, but it's like they're going to run you in circles for 6 months. You're not going to impeach Joe Biden, and Joe Biden doesn't matter. Joe Biden and Kamala, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you impeach Joe Biden. They want Joe Biden to get impeached. They'll probably love if you spend a year on Joe Biden, you'll waste a year of your life. If you accomplish it, they would like that. They don't even want him there. Kamala's further left, probably just as easy, if not easier to control. So what is that going to accomplish? Nothing. Biden, Kamala, it's the same thing. There's no secret impeachment that's going to save your life. It's just not going to happen. You have to regroup and become a stronger, better movement, and then try to win in a couple of years and figure out where this is heading. It's heading in a place that's unavoidable. We can't kick the can down the road anymore. So the right winger, they're going to take your money and they're going to raise millions of dollars talking about Joe Biden impeachment. It's very childish. I get it. Go ahead, impeach Joe Biden. What's that going to lead to? Nothing. He's not going to go anywhere. And if he does go anywhere, now you get Kamala. What does that accomplish? Nothing. It's just to make you feel, to feed your ego or make you feel like you won something. Like that's part of the problem with politics. They're going to do it because it's a great way to raise money. I bust my ass and they make more. I bust my ass for a year and do harder work than they do in a week, than they do in a whole year. And they'll make more money in 3 days of telling you to impeach Joe Biden, and you'll funnel money to their charity, and they're just going to pay a bunch of interns and people $15, $20 an hour to run in circles. And then when it comes to it, the amount of money you gave to them, why do they need your money to impeach Joe Biden? What does that do? It just funds a bunch of people that run in circles around them. And then what? But if you want to impeach him, that's fine. But I don't even understand what that would accomplish. Someone said Trump did not free Julian Assange. On that note, there's now a theory. It's so crazy to me. I have to just talk about it or else I get annoyed. People are messaging me and saying, anomaly, he can't free Assange. He didn't free him to save his life. It's like the lengths people go to make excuses for Trump. I didn't think he would pardon Assange anyway, but I'm just saying, like, you think he purposely left Assange in jail to help Assange? Like Assange can't be free? He's not safe in jail. He's not safe arrested. Yeah, it might be risky for him to be freed, but he'll be fine. He could go to a different country or something. He'll figure it out. Trump's not doing Assange any favors. Assange's family, his mother, his friends, everyone wanted him to be free and not locked up. Only a QAnoner or a fake Trump decoder can make up a theory about how Trump secretly didn't free Assange to help Julian Assange. Like, I'm not trying to say you're evil, but it's become an evil movement. It's a deceiving satanic movement where you take everything that happens and flip it into something that it's not. Oh, Trump's saving Assange by keeping him jailed. No, he's not. Trump never liked whistleblowers. He doesn't want to do it. He has advisors who told him not to do it. It's a risky move, and he didn't want to take the risk. That's just what it is. You can make excuses for that. Say, hey, some people think Assange is a phony or something, or they don't think Trump should have done it anyway. Whatever. I'm not agreeing with you. I'm just saying that makes more sense to me than, oh, Trump, he didn't pardon Assange because he's helping Assange. He needs to stay in jail. Are you joking? I'd rather watch CNN than listen to right-wingers like this. And I hate CNN. It's just as bad to me. It's like mental instability. It's almost like they're insane and they're trying to make you insane. I have to stay away from these people because they never stop. They want to like drag you. They say misery loves company. They want to drag you into their like mental psychosis, and they freak out and call you Mossad if you don't go into their mental psychosis. Anomaly, Pompeo's sending me codes. No, he's not. Anomaly, you work for Mossad if Pompeo's sending me codes. What are you talking about? Pompeo works with Mossad. I mean, he works with America, but he's pro-Israel. Pompeo is good in the Israeli hood. He can go anywhere in Israel. He's very well liked there because he does a lot for Israel, and he's a huge ally. So you're Mossad. I'm not saying you literally are, but anybody who doesn't agree with my stupid theories is Mossad. It's like, you don't even know who Mossad is, and you worship Mike Pompeo because you think that he's sending you secret codes because his social media intern is scheduling things for every 30 minutes. Like, it's so embarrassing. Phil said, what are you going to do next with your channel? How much longer are you going to spend crushing questions? God bless. I have a new video tomorrow, but I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing. I mean, my job is not going to really change. I mean, it's the president changes, but I never really, I wasn't just cheerleading a Q theory. I've been just doing reporting on coronavirus, things that make sense to me and just, that I want to show people. So I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing, just a lot of videos, more deep dives. I like the live streams though. These are fun for me. It's easier to talk. It's not as stressful. It's more stressful, like sitting, editing. I like live streams, but they don't go as viral, and, they're not as easy to share and consume. So I'm always going to do those. Same thing though, more music, better videos, just try to get better and keep doing good stuff. Maybe a podcast, or I don't know. I just want to, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just keep rolling. Matthew G said, we're in the Weimar Republic. It's a good historical, place to study, definitely. Scott Carpenter said, bad times create strong men create good times create weak men create bad times. That's what happened. And I think we're probably the weakest generation of men ever. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but this has happened historically. Same thing happened, like he said, in the Weimar Republic. This history repeats itself. There have been weak men and degeneracy and all this stuff that happened in World War II as well. And it's a cycle. So, I'm not mad at it. I mean, it's not ideal, but there is no secret strategy to save the world because everybody's weak men. No, our country's weak. Now we have to get strong again. That's why we're getting jacked. It's like, we get it. There is no Aquaman QAnon theory. It's like, no, we're weak. Our country's weak. Men are too weak. Women are too weak. Our kids are too weak. So it's time to not be weak. That's the silver lining. It's time to get jacked, way too jacked for the gulag. I'm not even mad at it. I get it. There is no, what if 100 years of mistakes just turn into an Aquaman theory where I don't have to get off the couch? It's like, no, you're going to have to get off the couch, just like I'm going to have to get off the couch. So you're right. Weak men create hard times create strong men. Here come the hard times, and then there come the strong men. It's all good. We'll be fine. Mary Beth Williams said, love your point of view. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pancakes and Syrup. It's fine. You know what I'm saying? I said every day. I said I'm going to get jacked by December. It's January. We're already getting there. I'm going to be enormous by March. I'm not going to be another weak guy in the gulag. It's just not happening. Someone said, bro, they closed my gyms in California. They closed my gym too. I just bought these. It costs like $100. They're so expensive, but I bought these weights. I got these weights. It's a little pricey. And then I don't know where it is, but I have a resistance band. So, I got these. I could do what's it called? Chest with those. And then I have a resistance band. You could do triceps. I don't like doing triceps with those things because it hurts my elbows, but I have a resistance band. So then I do triceps with the resistance band. We don't need a gym. The gym came home. I feel you though. I did the same thing. Last year I was like, They kept changing my gym, and I was like, oh, they closed my gym. Same thing as you. But then I'm like, you know what? I am the gym. You ever seen the meme? Look at me. I am the captain now. I'm the gym now. That's what I say. I'm going to go buy some more weights. I'm the gym. I take the gym with me. How much? I mean, the weights that I bought were like over $100. I don't know. I guess they're just expensive, but whatever. It's worth it. Someone said, praise God, get ripped. I'm not trying to be mean because I understand people are upset and disappointed. I get it. I'm not like, people are misconstruing. Oh, you think Joe Biden is great? No, I think he's awful, but I'm kind of excited to have no expectations. Nothing could disappoint me. He could do the craziest thing tomorrow and I'd be like, yeah, that's who he is. But in general, I see it as an opportunity. It's like, okay, weak men. There is no Q. There is no secret military intel. Like, we're too weak. And then the people who are spiraling are the fake tough guys. They're like, I love Trump. Okay, I like Trump too. Now what? Oh, without him, I'm going to spiral. No, we're too weak. Let's get stronger. Not just physically, mentally, politically. We need to get better. We lost. We need to get stronger. It's okay. I like it. I'm like, okay, would I have worked out this hard if Trump won? Probably not. So I'm going to get too jacked for Biden's gulag. I'm going to be this big. They're going to try to fit me in the door and I'm not going to fit in. So they say, you know what? We'll just, you could just go. You're messing up the whole gulag. Get out of the way. And I'm like, all right, Someone said, get smarter, grow from your own defeats, realize your weaknesses. That's it. And I know I joke a lot and I like to defend myself sometimes because I'm myself. But in general, it is good to be humble enough to know your weaknesses. Self-awareness is the first step to self-accountability. You can't change everything. You can't become, perfect. It's probably not possible, or it isn't possible, but you can be self-aware. If you're an army and you don't know your weaknesses and you're like, MAGA, 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 and you think everything's perfect, you're weak because you don't understand your weaknesses. You got to plug up the holes. You have to understand what you're not doing. That's the problem. Everyone's like winning. Like, yeah, we won. We won the first election. There's a lot of winning going on, but there's also I started seeing holes in the ship 2018, 2019. I didn't make a huge deal about it, but I also said, guys, there's some holes in the ship and no, we're winning. That's why we lost. That's what it is. You have to be self-aware to see your flaws and your mistakes, and I think that's what makes somebody smart or wise. Like, you maybe can't raise your IQ, but I think everybody could probably be self-aware enough to be like, listen, this is what I need to improve on, or this is if you're a movement, hey, we're doing this, and this right, and this is wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. People in politics think that's a bad thing. I know there's some athletes. So instead of Anomaly Balboa, I'm not that strong yet, or I'm definitely not a boxer, but maybe I could work on it. But people think it's like a bad thing, but any athletes that follow me, they know that's just what you do as an athlete. Like in halftime, your coach doesn't say it's their fault, it's the referees, it's them. Like, that's how you lose. Your coach says you need to play better defense. You're not passing enough. You're not rebounding. You're being a pussy. Excuse my language. You're out. That's just how it is. That's how you win. And then you say, you're right. I got to get better. My defense sucked. I wasn't shifting my feet more. I was lazy. That's how you win. It's tough love. It's not. I'm not hating on MAGA. I want people to win. I don't think saying winning is the right strategy. I find it very cowardly, actually, and very selfish. Like, there's people who are just making a fortune off you guys. And I know I'm doing well too, and I'm grateful, but I try to bust my ass. If you look at my videos, I'm not bragging, but I'm just saying the videos I did last year are probably more and more relevant than most of what people will do in their entire lives of grifting off of MAGA. I work my ass off, and I appreciate the support and the love, but it's like people are like, I'm winning. Are you really winning though? No, you're winning, but you're not providing a solution for the whole movement. There needs to be self-reflection. So the fact that a lot of Trump supporters said, yesterday, they started looking at the pardon list and saying, I expected more from Trump. That's not a bad thing. They're not betraying Trump. That should be encouraged. They're not fully just effing Trump. But they finally realized after 4 years of cheerleading that cheerleading doesn't win the game. You got to play. You got to evolve. You got to learn. You have to call out your own side. You have to understand when things that you thought were going to get done aren't getting done. And then you have to demand them. And that's, we were a doormat, I think. in the same way sorry, I gotta block this guy. He's just being a weirdo. We were a doormat in the same way Bernie Sanders supporters became a doormat. As soon as Bernie folded on his supporters, a lot of people woke up and were like, this guy's a total weakling. He's not really an outsider. And a lot of people followed him. Millions of people woke up and said, he's not who I thought he was, including myself. And then millions of people said, oh, he's still my hero. He's my idol. Bernie's going to save me. And they just became Bernie Sanders doormats. We don't want to do the same thing with the GOP. They know we'll never vote left wing because left wing, there's nothing there for us. But they use that to our advantage. Now we have to say, I'm not voting for you either, Mitch McConnell. I'm not voting for you either. Even Trump and all these Trump influencers. Like, I'm not Patriot Party. I'm not voting for you either. Did you learn anything from the last 4 years? Or are you just taking the leftovers from what's here and just moving it to the side and just being the same exact thing that didn't work this time? We need to learn. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a mean. It's the same with me. I told people, I was joking, but I wasn't joking. I said, if I'm not jacked by December of this year, make fun of me. I didn't say if I'm not jacked by the end of this year, tell me that I'm perfect and I look great. I mean, if I look good, I look good. But in general, I'm like, I want people to make fun of me if I'm not jacked, because I said I'm going to get jacked and it's more motivation. So if I'm super, super skinny in December and everyone's like, Anomaly, you're skinny, you said you're going to get jacked, you loser, you suck. I think it's pretty funny. But also it's like, it's motivation. It's like, I'm setting a goal. Please shame me if I don't reach my goal. Tell me I look bad. I want to hear it. So it's, it's like, it's okay. It's not a bad thing to keep people in check and get stronger. It's the only way you win. It's the only way you grow. Floyd Mayweather doesn't go undefeated by thinking he's perfect. He goes undefeated by knowing his weaknesses and flaws and working on them all the time and making sure nobody can exploit them. But you can't work on a flaw if you don't even think it exists. And that's what the Trump movement became. I didn't turn, but it went from people liking Trump, supporting Trump. Then the lockdowns happened. Then Operation Warp Speed happened. And the movement got 10 times as dedicated to the fact that Trump was Aquaman playing 20-dimensional chess. And he was locking down the country to expose Fauci. He was exposing them by giving them power. It's like, no, he never was. That's why we lost. We made excuses for every single bad thing that happened, thinking it was like no way to like stand our ground. Someone said, get money, continue regardless of who's in office. Well, yeah, whatever your job or your profession is, for sure. Biden's more motivation to do better. It's like, he's going to steal more of my money. So now I got to make more money. Jokes aside, it's like, if you make a lot of money and Biden's going to tax you in the upper bracket or whatever, it's like, shit, now I got to work harder because this guy's going to steal even more of my money. And if you're in a lower bracket, then it is what it is. It's like, don't become unethical, I don't think. But, it's not like you could, he's going to take more of my money, I got to stop. It's like, no, now I literally can't stop because he's going to steal more. Someone said Anomaly is going to be the next Carrot Top. I don't know what you mean by that, but I do not feel like that was a compliment. I guess he just got jacked out of nowhere and he looked like Goofy because he was jacked, or he looked good, or I don't know what you mean by that, but he just got really strong and everyone's like, why are you so strong? And he's like, I'm Carrot Top, guys. Is that what I get it? Okay. I hear you. I'll think about it. Someone said, Anomaly, is there value in the Newsom recall? Can it work? At first, I thought it was kind of silly, like the impeachment, but maybe I think I was wrong. I mean, I don't understand the full process, but like years ago, people were like, we're going to recall Newsom. And I'm like, it just reminds me of Trump impeachment. We just got to vote him out. But apparently, they're very close. And over the last couple of months, I've been retweeting the link because it's got over 1 million something subscribers. I think if they hit 1.5, they trigger some sort of special election. I mean, he seems like he's getting kind of upset at it and nervous. So it could work. I don't know exactly how the recall works. They've explained it to me, but if you reach 1.5 million signatures by March, then it could trigger some sort of special. It's worth a try. I don't think it's they're all over the place with the signatures and stuff. Yeah, it's definitely worth a try. At first, I thought it was silly, but I think I was wrong. I don't know. I think it could work, but I'm not fully sure on what happens if that hits that goal and they trigger an election. Will he just win the election, or is he out? Does someone else go? I don't know. It's worth a try, though. I find it interesting. All right, let's let's leave on a good note. One more question. We'll leave on a good note. Then I got to work out. Do you always reference Aquaman because you look like him? LOL. No, I don't know. I think Aquaman sounds funnier than Batman and Superman. So I was always like, oh, Bill Barr's Batman. I like that because Bill Barr, Batman, the bees, it kind of has like an artistic tag. And then I just like Aquaman because I think it's funnier than saying, he's Superman. Jeff Sessions is Superman, or Jeff Sessions is Aquaman. It just sounds funny. But no, I guess that's way bigger compliment than Carrot Top. Like, Anomaly, you look like Carrot Top. Anomaly, you look like Aquaman. It's like I'd much rather look like Aquaman than Carrot Top, but appreciate that. Thank you. Mike Jones said Anomaly's a tool. You're very cool, Mike Jones. Very, very cool person. I will strive to be as cool as you. Thanks for the comment. When am I releasing 2 Jack for the Gulag? Probably in the next week. I just wrote a new verse for Zuby. I don't know if you guys know Zuby. He's from Great Britain. I made a joke on Twitter. I said, I promised to work on USA made products, but I'm collaborating with Zuby, who's not American. That's supposed to be a joke, but I'm going to record his verse because he's kind of like, I need your verse until my album's coming out soon. So you're the last one. So that's going to motivate me to get in the studio. I'm going to record that, and then I'm going to record 2 Jack for the Gulag. All right. And on a good note. Someone said, be the Aquaman. I'm not Aquaman either. I promise you. Me, Jeff Sessions, Bill Barr, Pompeo, Trump. Nobody's Aquaman. But I do like swimming. But I'm not near like Phelps level or anything. So I said, Anomaly. We'll end on this note. Anomaly, how do I tell my liberal friends that the media has turned them into a communist? I don't know. That's a pretty heavy discussion. Hey, guys, you sit them down. You're like, you're a communist. And they're like, no, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have the one video explaining how I think what they're doing is communism, like the World Economic Forum and liberals and stuff. I have a good video on it. I don't know if it'll help, but I don't know. That's a heavy topic. I don't know how to really explain that. But to me, I can't speak for everyone, but I know when I read the Communist Manifesto, the biggest talking point I could think of, and I have the whole video on it, where it's like they want control of everything. They want control of banking, control of media, control of transport. That doesn't sound like a working class revolution to me. It sounds like Karl Marx and whoever he was shilling for wanted everything. I don't think it's a working class movement at all. So that's kind of the angle that I would go for. And I have a great video on it that I think is probably more helpful. But a lot of ways people try to explain it. Like if you just say you're a communist, it's not going to go over well, or like socialism sucks, you suck, probably won't go over well. You might never be able to get through to some people. Some people will never listen to you, just like they'll never listen to me, and vice versa. Some people just don't want to hear it. But to me, that's the angle into it, where it's like they've been taught, or a lot of people have been taught, that communism is for the workers, for the working class, but it's really just big government. Like Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kalinske, for instance. They hate the government, or they don't trust the government. They don't like Biden. They don't like Trump. They think the government's corrupt. But Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kalinske want to give more money to the government. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how they don't get it. I'm sure, I'm not going to talk about their income because I don't know it, but I'm almost positive that Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kalinske are in the upper tax bracket, over 200K or so. So they're going to get taxed more by Biden and Bernie Sanders. Where does that money go? Instead of Jimmy Dore paying his employees more, instead of Jimmy Dore being able to buy a new microphone or hire another employee, now he has less money. Where does the money go that Jimmy Dore takes away from himself and Kyle Kalinske wants to take away from themselves? It goes to the government. It gives government more power. It takes away anybody that makes it like them. It takes away their power and their money. And a lot of billionaires are corrupt, but a lot of millionaires and billionaires in America could actually fight them. But the more they take, they're funneling any wealth extracted outside of the government and throwing it right back into the government. I don't understand how Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kalinske don't understand that. They're going to get taxed more. They're going to lose money. They're either going to have to pay their employees less or have less money in their bank account. And it's not going to go to the poor. It's not going to go to the middle class. It's going to go to the same government that they think is corrupt. And then the government is going to get bigger and more bloated and more out of control. That's communism. That's socialism. That's big government. That's what it is. How do these socialists on YouTube not understand it? Like Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kalinske. Doesn't make sense to me. Someone said, am I pro Biden? No. Why is there always a straw man argument? What part of this was like, oh, I love Biden, he's the greatest? No, the straw man arguments need to go. What I will say is this to end. I'm not pessimistic like other people. I'm just going to get strong. Hard times create strong men. Weak men create hard times. We have weak men. Hard times are coming. Get over it. You know, that's just what's going to happen. It's not ideal, but maybe we should have thought about that before men got so weak over the last 30 years and we let it happen. So hard times are going to come. But I don't like Joe Biden, but I will say he's now the captain of the ship. I don't have any expectations for him. I will call him out just like I did Trump, way more than I called out Trump, to be honest, probably just because of his policies don't align with mine at all. But I'll do the same reporting. But as the captain of the ship, I do pray and I do hope that he doesn't crash the ship, because whether I like it or not, he's in control of the military now. It's all these con artists. Oh, Trump's secretly controlling the military. No, he's not. Biden can put his guys in office and he's controlling them. So I do pray that he doesn't crash the ship any further than they have crashed the ship. I don't want to see him fail. I don't want to see him fail in the sense of me failing. If him failing means helping the country, then that's fine. But if him failing means our country failing, I hope that he doesn't crash in the same way I hope that Trump didn't. But you know, I will continue to do the work I do. I don't like him. I'm just not going to cry about it, and I'm going to get too jacked for the gulag because, you know, we got too weak. Now we got to get stronger. And if we play our cards right, we can evolve, adapt, learn, grow, and make moves in the next 2 to 4 years. And this has happened historically. When things swing and people get weak, hard times come. When hard times come, they create strong men, and the strong men come in and the pendulum flips. This is not there's nothing new under the sun. This is not a new phenomenon. There have been worse regimes than Biden who have been overturned and have been, you know, some of the biggest dictators and authoritarians and whatever you want to call them, they don't even exist anymore because, you know, eventually the dials change. So, you know, got to stay optimistic, got to stay positive, and we'll get through it. That's all it is. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Thanks for hanging out for 2 hours with me. And I'll have a really good video tomorrow. It's going to be very well researched, a lot of pop-ups. It's going to take me the rest of the day to edit. And that's what it is. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be one of my favorite ones in a while. So thanks for being here. Before I leave, stayintouchwithme.com, my free email list. Thank you to everybody who signed up. Stayintouchwithme.com. I barely use it, but I might use it today or tomorrow. Just let you guys know what's going on. Social media and stuff. It's good. Patreon.com/raretalk. Thank you to everybody there. And dreamrare.com. Pink hats are in. Hopefully the white and black ones come back because I like those. But for now, we have shirts and stuff. But thanks for being here. I'll be back soon. And tomorrow, new video.